Let's go live.
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
Strikingly good-looking bald man.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
That is not a Photoshop picture of Tom Brady in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers helmet.
Look at that.
Download and podcast at richeisenshow.com.
You know what I really enjoy, Rich? Your hair in the last ad.
Today's guests, ESPN College Game Day host Rece Davis, Lions head coach Matt Patricia, host of the new game show Fox's Ultimate Tag, The Watt Brothers. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the Rich Eisen Show. We are live in Los Angeles, California. And for those listening on Sirius XM 211, I'm not wearing a sweater today. It's beginning to get nice and warm out here in Los Angeles, California. I decided to just go with the rolled up, button down to dress shirt.
All right, good job.
Describing things at home, describing things for people at home. Christopher Brockman.
Hey, buddy.
Looks like you've gone with a flannel situation. That's a flannel situation.
It's a flannel pattern. It's not necessarily flannel material.
Very good. Yeah, well, you look good.
Thank you.
And Mike Del Tufo.
I'm just wearing the same thing I usually wear.
I can't tell the difference.
What year is that pullover from, Mike?
This is I like it. I change shirts.
There you go.
It's cold in here.
Wow.
We got football on our minds right now. Certainly with our guest list today, we've got Matt Patricia, the head coach of the Detroit Lions, one of the handful of NFL teams that is not back in their facility yet. The state of Michigan has a shelter-in-place order in place until the 28th of May, so that would be 1 week from tomorrow is when the Lions would be able to get back in. We'll talk about the draft with Matt Patricia. We'll talk about why in the world he would draft two Ohio State players in the state of Michigan with Matt Patricia. Pardon me, the Ohio State players. We'll talk about that with him when he joins us in the middle of our program. Man who got his start of his career in the great state of Michigan, Rece Davis. I believe he's in original Flintstone. Flint, Michigan is where he started his career. Guy from Alabama goes all the way to Flint.
That's got to be a culture shock.
We'll explain in a second, unpack, if you will, in a minute, how Rece wound up and why he wound up on our guest list today. We'll get to that in a second. And the brothers Watt, the Watt brothers, the three Watt brothers, JJ, TJ, and Derek. They will be joining us today in advance of tonight's premiere of the Watt brothers hosting Ultimate Tag, the new competition show on Fox after The Masked Singer, which means if you're up at midnight tonight Eastern, if you're up at 9 o'clock Pacific tonight when Ultimate Tag hits right after The Masked Singer, if you're quiet, you can hear from my household my kids complaining about being told to get to sleep because they're going to want to watch Ultimate Tag. Just merely because they've seen the commercials on The Masked Singer for the last 3-4 weeks. That tug of war between my wife and I and our children will be going down in the house. Book it.
And your boys know the Watt brothers, right? They know who JJ Watt is.
Of course.
Yeah. So.
Of course. They might need a tutorial on Derek, to be honest with you. Now the fullback in Pittsburgh, so he's on the same team as his brother.
That's cool.
I do get football questions in. I'll let you know that because the interview has gone down. We Zoomed it.
Nice.
On Monday.
Okay.
It's been in the hopper and the edit bay, and it will be uncorked. And I will talk to JJ about his hosting Saturday Night Live. Our friends at NBCSN announced how next week, all throughout next week, it's out there. It's out there. They announced earlier today that it's all out there. Next week, all of the Saturday Night Live. Some of the best Saturday Night Lives hosted by sports figures. They will be re-airing them, including J.J. Watt's next Tuesday night.
Far out. That's awesome.
Jeters, Tom Brady, name it.
Peyton,
the whole Barkley
Eli.
night, yes.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, that'll be
Jordan?
next week.
They're going to bring back Michael Jordan?
Indeed, sir.
Wow.
On NBCSN.
Love it.
Mm-hmm. That's all out there. So the Watt brothers will be joining us in the third hour. Matt Patricia in the second hour. Rece Davis joining us in about 15 minutes' time here on the Rich Eisen Show. I guess the what's old is new again. Look, we're all waiting to find out what's going on in the sports world. Yesterday, we found out that horse racing, the Belmont Stakes, was going to be run on June 20th. We're all holding our breath right now, waiting for baseball. Tom Glavine chiming in an article in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and he was at the forefront of the Players Association in the last labor dispute that happened in 94 and 95. Even he said the players need to, even if they are in the right, even if they feel they are in the right with their arguments about how much they are getting paid, Tom Glavine saying, quote unquote, even if players were 100% justified in what they were complaining about, they're still going to look bad. That's a similar that you're looking at a situation similar to the strike of 94 and 95 as far as fans are concerned. As I'm telling you, baseball and their players cannot throw their arms up and say, we are not playing this year because we could not figure out the money. Meanwhile, in the NFL, and we'll ask this of Matt Patricia, and again, we have to tread lightly a little bit here because, we don't want to put head coaches in the position of being health experts or, I guess, immunologists and things of that nature. But did you see that one of the top individuals at the Players Association said that the NFL is looking into having helmets in which the entire face mask is covered by material similar to the N95 or N95 masks? That would be, I guess, one way.
That's a start?
That would be one way to handle, one would think, the social distancing problem that the NFL clearly has. As Jeff Passan pointed out yesterday as he was reading through the entire 60-plus page document that the Major League Baseball has come up with public health officials, and how granular it is and how they go down to the nth detail to try and figure out to keep players social distancing. He said baseball is naturally socially distant. You're outside, you're out in the outfield, you're in the infield, and even you're definitely even 6 feet away, one would think, when you're shifting, even on the right side, or you're putting four guys on the right side of second base. They're still socially distant. Enough. With the exception of home plate and obviously first base if somebody's being held on there.
Right.
Meeting at the mound, obviously in the dugout. But he said that players would be sitting in the stands if they're not in the starting lineup. At any rate, he made the mention that the NFL, he's reading this document. How's the NFL going to come back and do this thing? So I read that, and I'm like, would that be enough? I honestly don't know. But that would be, I saw that. I'm like, okay, this is what the NFL is using its time. They've got 3 months to figure this thing out, 2-3 months to figure this thing out. The head health expert that the NFL has put at the forefront of their return saying yesterday that they're not putting any dates on anything when asked about the June dates for OTAs. Matt Patricia will be joining us in the second hour. The Watt brothers, and then there is Rece Davis. And yes, there is Bulls news. The Last Dance ripple effects, man.
That's a good fantasy name.
Last Dance ripple effects?
Yep.
Pop that one down. All right, Mike Del Tufo, get one of these ready. Get me numbers 5 and 6, please. Numbers 5 and 6 on your Last Dance soundbite scorecard. Horace Grant calling Michael Jordan a snitch. How about them apples?
I didn't see that coming.
He was on ESPN 1000. Horace Grant, as we all know, was, I guess, the third man with Pippen and Jordan in the first three-peat.
Right.
Obviously, if you're putting in the order of level of importance and excellence, and Horace Grant was an all-star along with Pippen and B.J. Armstrong in the year after Jordan's retirement, the first year that they went through a season without Jordan. And as you know, Horace Grant is definitely somebody who thought he didn't get enough credit at the time. And Jordan outed, if you will, and said, it's amazing. The Jordan Rules book by Sam Smith is, what, is it close to 30 years old yet? It's right there.
Yeah, I think it came out in 91, right?
My gosh. And there was a lot put out there about how Jordan was behind the scenes and what
92.
was going on behind the scenes. And Jordan said in the documentary, if you want to call it that, according to Horace Grant, that he believes Horace Grant was the one who gave Sam Smith all those details. Hit it, Mike.
He said, I was a snitch, but yet and still after 30 or 35 years, he brings up his rookie year going into one of his teammates' room and seeing coke and weed and women. My point is, why in the hell did he want to bring that up? What's that got to do with anything? If you want to call somebody a snitch, that's a damn snitch right there.
He didn't say anybody's name.
Well, I mean, if you're part of the cocaine circus bulls, you're sitting at home. I guess that's his point. That famed Kevin Clark tweet saying you remember that team sitting at home in the middle of the first Last Dance episode, and suddenly you got to explain to your wife and family, no, I wasn't part of that. And then he mentioned that Michael Jordan will destroy your character. Go for it, Mike Del Tufo. Hit that.
It's only a grudge, man. I'm telling you, it was only a grudge. And I think he proved that during this so-called documentary when if you say something about him, he's going to cut you off. He's going to try to destroy your character. Charles Barkley, they've been friends for over 20, 30 years, and he said something about Michael's management with the Charlotte Bobcats or the Charlotte Hornets, and then they haven't spoken since then.
Seems like Horace is a little bitter, man.
Hey, if you are somebody who feels that you have been wronged by this documentary, which he says is not even a documentary, pointing out that Jordan handled it, which I'm telling you, you're going to see more and more and more of if stuff comes out that didn't get covered in this documentary.
But are we so hard up for content, there's now going to be Last Dance backlash?
There has been for 5 weeks.
Not really.
Chris, look, we don't talk about things just for clicks here. We don't do that sort of thing. This is not what we do. Okay? This is not what we do. But we do notice what you folks out there, certainly in the wormhole, 454s, who are kind enough to watch our show and stream it every day and then comment about it, and everyone out there that, I guess the 75% of people who watch our videos that don't subscribe to our channel, which means we have room for growth, by the way. That's the way I look at it that way. But I'm looking at all these metrics because I'm learning the streaming world.
Yeah, we all are.
We're all learning the streaming world. After having been on Audience for 5+ years is our main way of getting out there, and now we're on NBCSN for 2 of our 3 hours. I'm learning the streaming world. Anything to do with The Last Dance, people can't get enough of it. People cannot get enough of it because it reminds everybody of the old days of yore. It gives us everybody a nice little flashback, and that's part of the reason why we're having Rece Davis on soon, because I did more Sports Centers with him in my first year than I did with Stuart Scott. That is for sure. My first partner at ESPN was Rece Davis. That was the guy when I started looking at my schedule over and over and over again. That's the guy that I noticed I'm doing more Sports Centers with him than not. And I would just be an absolute joke-a-thon guy with him.
What time were you guys doing?
The 2:30 in the morning half-hour Sports Center.
Dang.
Before that was expanded to a full hour between 2 and 3,
right,
and then re-aired 50 million times the next day. And then that got expanded when Stuart and I did it 2 to 3. Then it got expanded from 1 to 2 in the morning.
Right.
Live, and then re-aired with the exception of things that we would insert because finally somebody got an out in San Diego in the 15th inning. Somebody finally got a run to end a game, and we would then do the highlight live. So Rece and I did more Sports Centers, and people love the history of it. But at any rate, I think Horace Grant has a point here that he feels that he has been wronged. He's now using his platform. Our buddy B.J. Armstrong. Do you know how many back-to-back interviews B.J. has done over the last 48 hours? For the first time, I think maybe since. I bet you he's done more interviews in these 48-hour period over the Last Dance on Monday and Tuesday, probably leading into today, than he did at any 48-hour point of his playing career.
Probably.
So, Horace Grant sitting there at his point is that you need Sam Smith's one of those types of reporters. You need 2 sources. He's not just going to take one guy's word for it, but he's the only one that Jordan threw out there. And I'll tell you, this is why you're not going to hear anybody say anything negative about Michael Jordan. You do it once, you're out.
Well, look at Sports Illustrated. One bad cover, and he's never talked to them again in 25 years. My point is that these same guys in our business who have used The Last Dance as the driving point for their show for now over a month are going to be the same people now flipping it around and bad-mouthing it.
You think so? I'm not bad-mouthing. I mean,
I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying you can already feel it with the backlash now.
Well, you're going to hear from other people. I mean, at some point, you need to have an exit interview for this.
But it's going to be the people talking trash are the same people that never could beat Michael Jordan. So, of course, they're still pissed.
Here's the news cycle with this thing. And by the way, I think I correctly predicted the news cycle coming out of The Last Dance was going to be Michael versus LeBron. And I think, we touched upon it with Shaq. Also, the best dynasty of the last 25, 30 years. Which three-peat would you take? First of the Bulls, second of the Bulls, or Shaq and Kobe? Or you could even throw the Warriors into that, too. I mean, we kind of touched on that in a poll question with who's the best third man, and we forgot Horace Grant. The best third man in the last 30 years. We didn't even include Horace Grant.
We could do that for a poll today.
No, we kind of touched on it the other day.
I mean, the dynasty question.
But I'm saying everything in this documentary deserves an exit interview. We conducted 2 yesterday, Rod Thorne and Ahmad Rashad. Right? We've connected a whole. We've got Ramona Shelburne on tomorrow's story. She conducted one with Jerry Reinsdorf, who he invited on this show. And I think he's just going to let the one that he gave to Ramona Shelburne be the one that sits out there. Phil, at some point, if he wants to sit down and talk again. Michael, do you think Michael's going to sit down again anytime soon?
Nope.
I think he's just going to that's the way it stands. So if you feel wronged by it, and you're Horace Grant, you get a phone call from ESPN 1000 in Chicago saying you want to come on, the answer is sure. He's pretty damn pissed because he thinks that he's been put out there as a snitch. And he's pointing out Jordan's as bad a snitch as anybody else. Damn, we even somebody conducted an exit interview with the pizza delivery guy that we have our own chef from yesterday's show refute that story. Quote unquote story.
That's great.
Well, anyway, Rece Davis is about to join us, and here's the reason why. Towards the end of yesterday's program, you read out our poll question final results based on the fact it was the 31-year anniversary of Roadhouse coming out.
Yeah, man.
And the poll question yesterday is your favorite Patrick Swayze film, Dirty Dancing goes Point Break, Roadhouse. I then revealed at the end after Point Break won it yesterday?
Yeah, Point Break won narrowly over Roadhouse.
Okay. I said I've never seen Point Break, period, and I've never seen Roadhouse start to finish. Like sitting there with the credits rolling to start and then ending it, credits rolling, and I didn't get up off the couch. Never seen it beginning to end.
Wow.
I have dropped the remote to watch the end of it at one point.
Sure. But not like
But I have also turned off the remote and hit the channel button or had to get up and never cared to refinish it.
Yeah.
Never once have I seen Roadhouse start to finish. I said those words. You were terribly aghast about it. You could not handle that, right?
I'm still in shock.
Right. So at that point in time, I looked down at my phone, which buzzed, and it was Rece Davis, my old buddy, who wrote the following to me, texted me, Brad Wesley on line 1, watch Roadhouse. I wrote, my crew absolutely loved this. It goes a little bit over my head, sadly.
Dude.
He's coming in with the convertible Mustang right now.
You tweeted out the video of me admitting that.
I did.
Which, by the way, was just a throwaway statement at the end of a 3-hour show in which I thought we had, fun conversation, newsworthy conversation with Rod Thorne basically saying, Isaiah Thomas, if you'd shook the man's hand, it wouldn't have hurt his chances of making the dream team from years ago. Rod Thorne also saying the Sixers made a great offer for Jordan on draft day. And he said no. Could you imagine if the Philadelphia 76ers had that run in the great city of Philadelphia and not Chicago? Could you imagine? Ahmad Rashad saying he learned nothing from watching The Last Dance. Part of the reason why is because he lived through it. Not only that, but he also said he watched The Last Dance at Jordan's house. He would go over to Jordan's house. They live right near each other. Which leads me to believe, Chris, that the water that we saw through Jordan's window, is that the Pacific? Because I don't know if Ahmad lives in Carolina right now. Right? We don't know.
Maybe. I have no idea. Florida?
I'm just saying, we
Florida?
also had a fun interview with Will Forte. Frank Grillo talked about he was wearing nothing but underwear talking to us. And yet my throwaway line that I had not seen Roadhouse from start to finish in a video went viral on our Twitter feed.
Got the biggest response.
And it causes me to wonder out there for you folks, and let's get the phone lines lit. What's the one movie you're embarrassed to say or admit that you've never seen with your friends?
I got mine.
Because I've got one more.
Oh, jeez.
You're going to be so upset with me.
Oh,
Rich, don't do it.
And I know
Don't do it, Rich.
everybody's going to be so upset with me.
I'll leave the room.
You're going to be very upset. You're going to be shocked. You're going to be stunned.
Star Wars.
Knocked on your ass. And I might actually even wait till after the Watt brothers in the third hour to reveal it.
Out the door again?
Out the door again.
All right.
Oh.
Reese is on.
Joining us right here, the host of College Game Day on ESPN and a longtime friend and a man who is aghast that I have a blind spot in my movie watching history of Roadhouse and Point Break. I've never even seen it, period. It's Rece Davis. How are you, Rece?
I'm doing great, Rich. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Are you embarrassed to know me now, Rece? Are you embarrassed to know me now?
No, not at all.
God bless
Actually,
you.
because as I texted you while I was watching your show and came across this little piece of knowledge that surprised me.
Yes.
Roadhouse is an awful movie. But it's so awful that it's awesome.
Exactly.
And I watch it every time I stumble across it, or at least watch a good portion of it. And much to my wife's chagrin, but wait, they're about to tear up the Double Deuce right now. So I have to watch it.
See, you got Brockman laughing right now.
Because, I mean,
And see,
Sam Elliott's flow in that movie, my God.
so your wife,
Hey,
Rece.
let me tell you, quick story. We have and this is going to be the highlight of this person's career that I'm about to mention his name on the Rich Eisen show.
Okay.
But we have a producer named Jonathan Lebovich. And
I remember that name. I remember him.
You remember Lobo?
Yeah, sure.
So Mark May and I did a game, and we, for some reason, our announcer, and Lou, I think, was with us too. We went in and we joined Lebovich's crew for a game. I don't know why that happened, but it did. And we're in the production meeting, and all of the people, all of the production assistants and tape runners, whenever Lebovich would ask them a question, they would go, and maybe if they didn't have something done yet, they'd go, I'm sorry, boss. I'm sorry, boss. And I was like, Lobo, what is up with this? I'm sorry, boss. He goes, oh, we all love Roadhouse. It's like a big inside joke. So they treated him like he was the villain in it, Brad Wesley. And every time he asked for something, they'd go, I'm sorry, boss. And I found that hilarious.
And there you have it. So do you want to institute that here, Chris? Because we could start doing that.
No, because you've never seen the damn movie. Like, I don't know what the point is.
Well, I've never seen it from complete start to finish. I've only seen certain scenes of it. I mean, I'm not completely in the dark. We did have Kelly Lynch here on this show about 3-4 years ago. And did you post that video?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
I was about to say, Rece, if he said no, he would have to say, I'm sorry, boss.
Yeah.
Peak Lynch at that point, too.
Peak Lynch at that point. Very good. It's kind of funny, Rece. You want to talk about old school here, and that's another reason why I want to go down this wormhole with you here, was The Last Dance, and how many people just got so much of a kick out of seeing the old school sports centers from back in the day. And it caused me to think that, I was just telling the guys here that the first guy I did multiple sports centers in a week with was you. They teamed us up quite a bit in my first year that I was there, and it was a total blast. It was an absolute total blast back in 1986. And I'm wondering what you felt watching all these old school Sports Center highlights show up over the last several weeks here.
It's sort of remarkable, I think, Rich, how much time has passed, but I also think it's pretty remarkable at the draw that you feel to it. And I don't think it's just because you and I were fortunate enough to be part of it. I think it was such a part of the way that dynasty particularly was shared with sports fans that it became a little tiny part of it. I mean, it's not as important as, all of the things that actually happened with the Bulls, but there were people outside of Chicago. That was the way that they connected with them throughout the season. And to be able to see all of us back in our much younger days that were at least part of chronicling that iconic run in maybe the greatest dynasty in modern NBA. I understand the Celtics won more and all of that, but during that time to have the transcendent star and the transcendent team and to be part of chronicling that on what was the ultimate place to get highlights and information at the time is a kick to be able to see it and watch it and to watch it replay in your head and remember things about it. Like I was the host of the NBA on ESPN radio for the finals in 97 because I was doing NBA 2 night by then.
Yes, the 2. I love it. By the way,
Rockery and
I love that.
Quinn Buckner and I were the pregame host, and Brent and Dr. Jack called the game on ESPN radio. And the flu game or the poisoned pizza game or the bad pizza game or the too many cigars game or whatever it was that made Michael sick, we were in our pregame show, and Quinn had some, because of his friendship with Michael, had some access back there, and off the air he was like, Rece, I don't think he's going to be able to go. And I'm like, you're crazy. There's no way he won't play. And he goes, he said, you don't see him right now. Quinn's like, I'm not sure the man can lift his head off the table. And it was something to be at least a small part of, and certainly brings back a lot of great memories.
Were you there, or were you stationed in Bristol?
No, I was there. We were in Salt Lake City for it, and the Jazz probably should have been up in that series 3-1 because they sort of blew game 1 in Chicago, and they had won the first 2 in Salt Lake City, and that's part of the lore of Michael's performance, I think, was that series easily could have been lost and perhaps should have been on the brink of being lost even before that game.
Yeah, Dr. Jack Ramsey was one of the greatest human beings I have ever come across, and to be in the middle of all that, Rece, that's really, I did not know that or recall that was your assignment back in the day. I was fort holding, back in Bristol, but you were out there. You were with the guys and in the middle of all that.
Yeah, it was really, really remarkable thing. It was I just a few days ago wrote a foreword for a colleague's book, and that was about the time they moved me to the car racing show. And I mentioned in there that I had a gig that I was really enjoying because I love football and basketball, obviously, and to be part of the NBA and be for that assignment, coming off that assignment of Dan was out there covering it for Sports Center, and and having Brent be the play-by-play guy on radio, so spending a lot of time with him for the first time in my career.
Come on,
it was one of those epiphany moments that you have in realizing that this is a really cool opportunity you've been blessed with. Is when we were headed back to Chicago for Game 6, Brent and I were sharing a cab, and sort of, we chatted a little, and then we were just sort of sitting there in silence. You're looking at it out at the Wasatch Mountains, and I sort of turned the other way, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm in the backseat of a cab with Brent Musburger. How cool is that? So it was like one of those moments you're kind of going through doing your job and not allowing yourself to be affected like that in that moment was pretty cool.
Who paid for it and expensed it, Rece? You were Brent. Do you remember?
Oh, I did for sure. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I don't remember.
I figured I'd ask. So the car show that you did was that RPM 2 night? Was that RPM 2 night?
Yeah.
I remember that one.
RPM 2 night again, and when they called and asked me to move, Rich, I told them, I said, look, if you guys think, hey, let's get the Southern guide or do the car racing show, I said, you got the wrong dude.
Well, here's the deal.
But I'll learn it, and so that's what I had to do. I had to learn it. I certainly didn't know it.
Well, let's go down a little bit memory lane here, a little bit more with Rece Davis, who I've known, good Lord, for about 24 years now, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. I never hosted NBA Tonight. I never hosted NHL Tonight. That was Bill Pito's territory. But I did do one of my first assignments when I was there. I think it was, you might want to look this up, Chris. I think you look like you're already looking something else up right now, but you might want to look this up. I think I did the intermission. I hosted the intermission segments for a 4 overtime playoff hockey game. I think between the Penguins and
Flyers.
Could have been the Flyers Penguins. It was at the time the third longest hockey game in the history of hockey. The 2 other ones were from the 30s, well before there was television, let alone cable television sponsored intermission segments. I held a record at that point in time. So that was my only NHL, but I went up to NHL Tonight where Pito went on the air, I think, at 2:45 in the morning.
Was this in 2000?
No, this was in 1996.
Okay. Because the Flyers Penguins played a 5 OT in 2000.
And here's another one, Rece. I hosted one single RPM Tonight. The one, I think because Kenny Mayne got sick or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I think I went on the air and started by saying, I'm the only host in RPM Tonight history who has to call AAA to change a tire.
That's a great line.
I'm the only one.
I did not recall that.
I'm the only host in RPM Tonight history who's got to call AAA to change a tire.
Right.
I got no. I got
April
nothing.
24th, 96.
Yes.
Penguins Caps.
There you go.
Peter Nedved in the 4th overtime.
God bless him. He sent me home and Bill
Sends
Pito
him
on the
home.
air. And I was, I got there in February of 96. So that's what I was doing. It's probably a few sports centers with you. And then that's it. Those are my only 2-night historic moments, Rece, back in the day.
Yeah, it was quite a training ground. I did a few of those intermissions as well, and you were kind of out there without much of a safety net, but it was fun, man. I mean, those are the things you end up talking about more than anything else. Is those nights or the night that Jim Everett and Jim Rome got in a fight,
that
on
predated
the
me.
Jim Rome
were
show
you there?
And all that.
Were you there?
Called me Chrissy one more time and all that stuff.
Were you there for that, Rece? Because that predated me.
I don't think I was there. I think I was on the old Sports Smash the night after, so it was still buzzing. I don't know if Kenny had duty that night or who it was, but that was my first assignment, was the Sports Smash updates at the top and the bottom of the hour on the old ESPN2 grunge graphic look.
Well, you could have, Rece, done those State Farm deep fakes as yourself. You're I think the only one that could have done it today without any deep fake, because you look exactly the same as you did back in 1997 and 98. You're the only one, I think, Rece. I don't know what's in the water with you.
My son and I were just sort of laughing about the way you age and how much different you look, because they pulled out the first Kevin Garnett game in Chicago highlight last night on the SVP show, and Levy and I had quite the salad on top of our hair, which coincidentally looks a lot like my quarantine hair right now.
Nice.
There was a lot of it, but you I don't know. I think I look a lot different, but I do fear that one day I'm just going to wake up and, right now I'm 54 and hopefully I can pass for that, or a few years younger, but I'm afraid that one morning I'm just going to wake up and look in the mirror and I'm going to look 83.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not going to like Bob Barker at one day where you're going to suddenly look 80 years older.
Like, Rece, did you get carded? Come on, man.
Yeah, I take it as a compliment when it happens. Yeah.
Are you serious? You really get carded in Connecticut?
No, I don't get carded.
Okay,
no, sometimes I think I want to be, and then I realize that the thing that has made me grasp my age is I won't say I was offended, but up until the last few years, you'd meet somebody at college game day and some kid would say, hey, I grew up watching you. And I'd almost be offended by it and go, no, you didn't. I haven't been doing that this long. And then it occurs to me, wait a minute, you're the same age as my kids, and my kids certainly grew up watching me. So yeah, I guess you did. So
Rece, I remember you and your wife were so kind in my first year there. We were talking about '96, so I spent Thanksgiving of '96 with you in your house. You invited me there because my parents lived in New Jersey at the time, and I couldn't get there. I think I was doing a sports center or something like that. You invited me in. How old was your son in '96? Was he born yet, or was he?
No, he had not been born yet. He was born in summer of '97. So.
Come on. I hear from people, I grew up watching you too, and I'm like, how old are you? And they're like, I'm 29, I'm 31, and I'm like, oh my God. That they were like in fourth, fifth grade. Like
it's a little daunting to say the least.
I know. So a few minutes left with you. Let's talk about it. My college coach, Jim Harbaugh, went on Get Up today, and I guess this might also be the sign of the times that this is quote unquote news. That he's like, let's play with no fans. I'm ready to play with no fans. I think maybe everybody in every sport's getting ready to play with no fans as long as it can be healthy. We had Brian Kelly on the show the other day from Notre Dame, and he was talking about, they're getting ready for no salad bars. Like they literally are down to the granular level of planning for when the kids, if they do come, and that they don't have a protocol to hand to parents yet because the parents need to put kids on the plane to put in his care to actually maybe go back to school and play football. What do you think? I'm sure you're asked this all the time. What do you think about the prospect of a college football season in 2020, Rece?
I'm still optimistic, and more optimistic by the day that it will happen in some form. Obviously, it will be adjusted, and almost certainly adjusted in terms of the crowd, perhaps adjusted in terms of schedule, whether that's truncated or rearranged or mostly conference games or whatever that might be. But I think that there is such momentum, Rich, and such a need financially for the schools to play. And honestly, I think it's a pretty cynical view to say it's just financial. I think that really the culture needs it, a return, if we can safely do so. And I would hope that goes without saying. But if we can, undertaking a reasonable amount of risk, everything carries some risk. If we can undertake a reasonable amount of risk and think that we can do it almost as safely as possible, I think it would be good for everybody if we play. I think the players' considerations and whether they think that they feel secure and safe doing it should carry a lot of weight, too. We haven't heard enough from them. I think that most people in that age group and, having a college athlete in the house is itching to get back. I think most feel like he does, that they want to undertake the risk. And hope that it's not a big one, that they will be protected as best they can. But I'm optimistic that they'll play, and I think Jim's right. It'll probably be in front of limited fans or no fans, and it will certainly be a different viewing experience for people. But I think in the long run that it would be something that would be healthy if, as you said at the beginning, if we can do it reasonably and with as much safety as possible.
Yeah, I guess so. I'd love it too. Again, we have no earthly idea what's going to happen and how it can happen, but you're hearing that if kids aren't back on college campuses from various Big Five commissioners of the sport, that there's going to be no sports, and you have to wonder, how are kids going to be back on college campuses right now? That's the one thing that's difficult to get past.
I saw the plan and read the plan that Notre Dame has in terms of they've adjusted their academic schedule, and this is not just for athletes, this is for students as well. And I do believe that because of sort of the insular nature of Notre Dame and everybody living in, on campus throughout there, that if there's any place that can do it effectively, I would put my money on Notre Dame to be able to do so. And I'm sure that they still understand that there's some risk involved. So
sure, the issue is there. The issue there is, Rece, as I talked about it with Brian Kelly, is that their schedule is like a United Nations of conferences. So there's, I believe, 6 ACC, couple of Big Ten, a couple of Pac-12. So they might not even be able. It's not like that one conference can get together and say, we are playing. Thus, there are 10 to 12 teams within that conference that has an intact schedule. I do believe, did Brian Kelly say something about Western Michigan? If the ink was dry, they were going to show up to play, is what he said. They've got a game against Navy in Ireland, for crying out loud, in which he theorized they could possibly play that in Maryland. But so even if they say we've got this plan, how do they get a schedule? They'd need multiple conferences to agree on the same thing.
And that's the thing, Rich. I do think that there's a lot of momentum for at least most of the schools in the ACC to be willing to play. Now, I think all the commissioners have acknowledged, especially with that conference because of its geographical footprint, that there might be a situation where a couple of the schools can't play. I certainly hope that all of them are able to do so safely, but that's a possibility. That's what I mean when I say schedules could be adjusted. But if most of the ACC is playing, then Notre Dame would have that chunk of schedule. And then there are other games against the other conferences. It could make it challenging for them. But, my thing was more so that I think the university, because of the way they go about their business and the way everybody is right there in a relatively confined area, and from what I read, this is just for the students at large, they already have a plan for if a student becomes ill and tests positive, where would they take them, where would they live, how would they treat them. They've got all of those types of things mapped out. I'm sure they don't have everything covered because there's no way any human being could, but they certainly, at least based on what I read, seem to have a really detailed, complete plan to deal with it on campus to try to ensure everybody's health, be tested when they come in and all of that kind of thing. So, but as it pertains to football, it certainly would be a challenge if a couple of programs on their schedule were not in a position to be able to travel or play, and it would create some challenges. But I think that I'm still optimistic that the majority of the schools will be able to play, and I hope that all of them that feel comfortable doing so are able to do so.
How's Corso? Is he good, healthy? Is he he's quarantined? I mean, how's he doing?
I talked to him just a few weeks ago. He sounded great. Said that he was staying away from everybody and just hitting the lake close to his house and doing some fishing. So he's doing well. He was doing well.
So I imagine have you heard internally at all about College Game Day's plans that you're going to be mostly studio based?
We've had discussions for every possible contingency plan. I'll be involved in some more of those in the coming weeks. You mentioned the Notre Dame Navy game. That was that we're still. No announcement has been made about that.
Right.
But, the game in Dublin was supposed to be a great way to kick off Week 0. College Game Day was going to Ireland. We had this spectacular location for our set and, a lot of big plans for that. So, if that, in fact, doesn't happen, which, as I said, it hasn't been made official yet, but it seems, honesty compels me to say that seems unlikely. But, if it doesn't happen, that'll be disappointing. But we have to figure out a way to continue to conduct the shows safely and still maintain the character of the show, which is to involve the fans. Now, that might mean something virtual like we had in the NFL draft. It might mean a limited crowd size. Nobody knows for sure what that means yet, but we're kind of working through some plans of how would we execute this? How would we find a spot on campus as opposed to a spot that would invite big crowds? All of those things that would, be in compliance with whatever local officials and whatever medical personnel thought was the safest and best thing for us to do.
Man, things you take for granted, right? Things you take for granted until they're gone.
I mean, it's amazing. Just little things like, that little adrenaline rush that you get walking to the set on Saturday morning and just sort of running down and slapping hands and shaking hands and fist bumping with everybody in line and being fired up when everybody's in there shoulder to shoulder. That seemed like the norm. And when it wasn't just a sea of humanity for as far as you could see, I wouldn't say it's not disappointing, but you're like, oh man, I wish the crowd were bigger. Now, you're like, all these crowds were phenomenal, and it's something that hopefully we'll be able to do at some point in the future if once it's able to be done safely.
I'm into that, Rece. I'm into that. All right, before I let you go, what is the one movie that you haven't seen that you'd be embarrassed to share? Let's kick us off on this day, Rece, where again I've got one more in my if you want to say quiver that I've never seen that is going to deeply upset most people who take in this show. So go for it. Reese?
Oh,
What do you
I
have?
think a lot of people are going to be upset with me because when I say this, because my favorite movie of all time
Yes.
is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I love Burn After Reading. I love Fargo. I love Raising Arizona. And for some reason, I've never sat down and from start to finish watched The Big Lebowski.
Wow.
So the Coen brothers, I love their work. I've seen parts of it, but I don't know why. I just haven't seen that one.
Okay.
And I need to do so.
So now here's the neat thing is in the same way I've never seen, Point Break, and I know you guys are telling me, hey, sit down, it'll be great. I still wonder if after 2 hours I'll wonder why I did that, okay? The Big Lebowski, I'm like jealous that will be new to you. John Goodman, John Turturro, obviously, the great Lebowski himself and Jeff Bridges. That's just to name three. All right. So put it all together. By the way, I do believe there is a through line between Roadhouse and the Big Lebowski in the character actor Ben Gazzara, I think was in both of them, Reese. So you've got a little bit, I've got a Ben Gazzara blind spot and you've got another one, too.
I will look for it.
Okay.
I'm going to watch it. As I said, I've seen parts
Lebowski.
of it. I don't know. It's one of those things you can't explain why.
Okay.
But I just haven't.
All right, Reese.
I
Thanks.
mean, what are you doing right now, Reese?
Yeah.
You think I should go watch? It's that important. I should go watch it right now.
I think that's a pretty good idea.
Your children are grown and they're out of the house, essentially? Is it just you and your wife?
No, my kids are back here because of the quarantine. They're both back here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've got, like homeschooling going on. I've got a lot. I couldn't even imagine it when I'm fitting Point Break in at all with an 11, 9, and 6 at home. You've got some Big Lebowski time, I think, that you can possibly fill in there, brother, and fill this spot and let us know what you think.
I will. I will give you a comprehensive review once I do that.
Reese, you're a good man. Thanks for watching
Rich,
yesterday and
likewise,
texting me
buddy.
right away. That was
Stay
great.
safe, stay healthy.
You right back at you. That's Rece Davis.
The best.
No Big Lebowski.
That's a pretty big one.
I went to the movie premiere of
The
the
Big
Big
Lebowski?
Lebowski. I did.
Here?
No, in New York City.
Wow.
What was that? What was that back in 1997, right? Correct?
Big Lebowski
97, 98. I'm going to say
was
98.
98.
98.
March 6th, 98.
I took, who I took to that premiere? Because I wanted to be more than just friends, and she did not.
You got what I need.
The mother of my 3 children.
Oh, baby,
Susie. You got what I need.
And if I'm not mistaken, what are you laughing about? He guessed it?
We're laughing at the Biz Marquee song. Because we were singing a song.
I do believe my mother-in-law came on that night, too.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You had a
My
plus
future
two?
mother-in-law.
You had a +2?
To the Big Lebowski premiere, I do believe.
Dang.
Because the dual premieres
And
are great.
I remember seeing
Both
that in the
coasts.
movie theater, and then just like the drug sequence with the bowling pins and all of that stuff.
nuts.
It was really, I mean, in the movie theater, people were kind of like wondering, what the hell is this?
The ending is just crazy. Everything's crazy. It's funny, too.
That movie is better the 5th, 6th,
Yes.
7th, 8th,
Yes.
9th
Catch things.
time.
You catch
Sure,
things.
Okay.
For sure,
Yep.
for sure.
Don Bowie saying in my ear, the
Should we
best
do,
Coen Brothers movie. There's no argument
There's
in
too
my
many.
mind. There's no argument in my mind with what the best Coen Brothers movie is. No argument.
I have mine.
You think it's Lebowski?
No.
Oh,
I know
okay.
which one
If I
it
could
is.
only watch one. If I could only watch
There's
one.
2 that I... Oh,
I guess there's two.
there's 2.
There's
two for
early
me.
work and more recent work.
There's 2 for me.
The early work is Raising Arizona. End of story.
Now that I've never seen.
Brockman. That's a hole.
Dude.
I've got
Nick
some,
Cage.
I've
Nick
got some
Cage
admitted holes.
and John Goodman.
And John Goodman.
Oh my HI. Oh my gosh. It is
I mean, I was
Raising
6
Our-
years old when that came out.
that's fine. Fargo
Fargo
is
is fan-
a
Fargo's amazing.
remarkable work. And by the way, the television show version of
is
it
great, too.
great.
is
too.
amazing.
I mean, No Country for Old Men won Best Picture.
I know. I've only seen that once. and
I
I just
mean,
couldn't. It's
deep.
I can't.
Yeah,
I can't.
it's heavy.
I can't go back.
Yeah.
I cannot go back and watch that movie a second time. I just can't. I can't.
When it's on cable, you kind of just stop. You
cannot.
watch like 15 minutes.
Have you ever seen? I think their first one, Blood Simple. Did you ever see that?
No, I was just
No.
looking
Go
at
check
a
that
list
one out.
of,
I've seen that once.
best Coen Brothers movies.
I know. So.
This is a 2014
Oh
list.
man,
Has No Country
Raising
for Old Men
Arizona
is
amazing. Do I ask Matt Patricia what's the one movie he's never seen that he'd be embarrassed to say to?
Yeah, I think we have
But
to do that all
coaches,
day.
coaches are
They watch film.
they watch film. They don't watch
Films.
cinema.
Exactly. They have to watch cinema.
I remember when was Brokeback Mountain?
Oof.
When was that movie? Okay, that had to be. Let me guess. It would be about 2005,
was gonna say 15
2006,
years.
2005.
2005.
Years ago, yeah.
2005. And as you remember, it was groundbreaking. It was discussed. There were op-ed pieces about it.
great.
There were all deep dives about it. It was something that absolutely was the conversation about pop culture from the minute it was released all the way to the moment I think it won Best Picture, correct? Didn't it win Best Picture, or one of the actors won for Best
No,
Actor?
It did not win
It did
Best
not win
Picture.
Best
That was
Picture.
actually a big controversy.
Okay,
that
so
year.
even that too,
Heath definitely didn't.
even
win.
that
That
too,
was later.
all of
Exactly.
it, it was just one of the most discussed, talked about movies.
It won for Best Director, Best Writing, and Best
Which is why
Music.
it
Okay.
should have won. Yeah,
So
it won the
yeah,
two
when you win
biggest.
Best Director, normally that means
writing,
Best Picture
usually
too,
Best
and writing,
Picture.
right?
Yeah.
Actually, I think that was the big controversy. Crash won that year, I believe.
Okay.
Oh, another great movie.
Reason why I bring
Can't get
this
me out of
up,
Crash.
Schefter, I think, told me this.
Yeah, Crash was Best
Crash.
Picture that year.
Mike Shanahan, the head coach at the time of, I believe, Denver Broncos, 2005, right? He had no idea what Brokeback Mountain was. He says, "What's that?" No idea. What's that? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Football coaches, certainly during the playing season, they're not like what's on TV. They're not remote dropping, when they see Point Break.
Like, what's Bill Belichick's last movie you watched? Like,
I
would
have no
love to
idea.
know that. That would be when you sat down and watched the movie.
Do you think Belichick or when the coaches ever got together at any point in time, first day that, hey, did you see Saturday Night Live over the weekend? I mean, do they do what regular people do when they would go to the offices back in the day when we had offices?
Like when they go to
right?
the,
They kind of have to.
they go to the owners meeting.
But
the
now
first
that
thing
you're
they say is
zooming
like,
in, now that people zoom in their meetings, I don't know, how many Zoom meetings have you guys
God.
taken lately? You've probably done zero, right, Chris? Because we don't Zoom.
Not a meetings guy.
I've been doing Friends. It's great.
Anytime
Yeah, with friends, it's fun.
Yeah.
Anytime you do a Zoom business meeting, the first 90 seconds is the usual BS of like just chit chat,
Hey,
and then,
what's up,
then
good?
suddenly, I'm not usually the page turner person on the call.
You wait.
Because no, if I'm in some sort of business meeting, usually I'm the one being asked all the questions, like, "Hey, when is football coming back?" Or, "Hey, what about the draft?" Or, "Hey, what about my fantasy team?" I usually get those things, and then I don't want to be the guy to say, "Okay, so we were thinking," and then there's always the page turner in a business meeting. The question is do football coaches, when they get together, do that sort of conversation?
They have to a little, right?
We'll have to see what type of
Bill, have you been fishing up in Nantucket?
so.
Like, did they get into the
844-204-RICH number to dial. What's the one movie that you are particularly embarrassed about?
I'm
not
really
seeing?
embarrassed. I've said it to you guys.
Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou is not. That's his favorite movie.
Wow.
I mean, it's
Pretty good movie.
It's a good movie,
It
but
was.
that I wouldn't even put that in a top 5 Coen Brothers
I'm a Dapper Dan
list.
man.
I would not put that in a top 5 Clooney list.
Top 5 Clooney.
Top 5
Ooh,
Clooney.
top
Oh,
5
Brother,
Clooney.
Where Art Thou wouldn't even make a top 5 Clooney.
That's a good list.
Oh yeah.
Ocean's 11, right? That's the best Clooney movie.
Whoa, come on now. Hold on a second now. You know what I'd put on a top 5 Clooney list, and I truly believe this? The movie he made with, it just popped out of my head, with J-Lo.
Out of Sight.
Out of sight.
Great Soderbergh
Good
movie.
movie. That's
Good
a really
movie.
good movie. But you're not putting Batman on there. You know what I mean?
No, stop.
Three Kings is pretty good. Perfect Storm.
He was actually great. Perfect Storm is one for me. Can't go.
But yes, the first Ocean's movie's on there.
First Ocean's
movie be
Michael
five.
Clayton's really good.
Michael Clayton is amazing.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
Amazing.
Up in the Air, it's good.
Phenomenal.
Descendants won the Oscar for screenplay.
See, now Adam, our call screener, says, I've never seen The Dark Knight, and somebody gets upset with him.
That was me. I said that.
Dark Knight? I mean, come on. Who cares?
What are you talking about?
No.
Have you never seen The Dark Knight?
I have, but it's just...
What do
if
you mean
haven't
who
seen
cares?
it-
That's
Remote drop movie.
Exactly.
It's the best Batman.
I'm with Brockman again. That is the best Batman.
Yeah, but if that's...
Period.
I would much rather you say you've never seen The Dark Knight than that you've never seen Raising Arizona.
What?
Yeah. See, we're
Oh
coming
my
from different.
God.
We're coming from different
Rich,
spots here.
I'm going with the younger crowd here.
Oh,
I'm with
man.
Brockman.
Dark Knight is an excellent film. I'm not lying.
That's the
It's
best
great.
Batman without even.
I know, but I
hesitation.
could see it
It's
again,
the
and
only superhero movie nominated for Best Picture.
I know. I hear you.
Okay.
And
I know.
All right.
We're gonna go higher register and agree to disagree. We can do that.
split screen.
Geico, though we're living apart these days, we are sharing more, folks, and Geico would just like to say thanks. Thanks for sharing your savage dance moves, for sharing your DIY haircut fails, and if you want to share the one movie that you're embarrassed that you've never seen, go ahead and do it. Wait till I reveal mine later on. Holy crap, you're going to lose your mind. Geico's turn to share, too, is happening right now with the Geico Give Back, a 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies for current and new customers. And because Geico's committed for the long haul, the 15% credit lasts your full policy term. Visit geico.com/giveback for info and eligibility. Matt Patricia will join us on this program, and then the Watt brothers will hit us with their new ultimate tag. And I hit them up for some football questions. You call us at 844-204-RICH. Back with more in a second. What can you and I come up with where you have to get in your car, pick any event? I won't do Indy 500. I won't do
wearing something Michigan related.
Yes. You tell me what do I do?
I'll wear a Michigan hat for driver intros just for you.
Okay. That's
Ooh.
acceptable.
I like it.
Beyond
But
acceptable.
I'm pretty confident that that's not gonna happen. So now what are you gonna do?
You tell me.
All I want is next time that we're on, you gotta wear something Ohio State, not just
Done.
a little pin, a
You
hat,
send it to
something.
me. You send it to me, and I'll wear whatever.
All right. All right.
Done. All right. So what do you have for me here? What do you have?
All right.
for me?
Well, first of all, we got a little hat for you.
Michigan, Ohio State hat. It's
That's
white.
not going to be enough. I reached out to my friends at the Ohio State University in the athletic department, and they sent you a proper game jersey. I mean, you know, it's not like something you can go buy off the shelf. This is what they really wear.
Okay. Here comes the jersey. This is amazing. Oh God! Already breaking out in hives.
This is,
And by the way, this is
great. Best he's ever looked right
This is
here.
fantastic. Red
Look
looks
at that.
so good on you. Oh, yeah.
Stop taking pictures.
No,
So
more.
suddenly it's a paparazzi. It's like the only person not on the set here is Harvey Levin all of a sudden. Okay. Holy crap.
That is awesome. Look at that. So good.
Turn the music off. We didn't say there's music and a hat and a jersey for the
Oh, wait, Rich.
Well, Graham, thanks for coming on. That's all we have time for. God, I can't. I'm trying to just turn
Yeah, you
away
keep
from
seeing the
television
TV
set.
screen
Just
over
the
here.
flash-
See
the flash
yourself.
of scarlet.
Scaring yourself.
Holy crap. I've done a lot of difficult interviews in my career. This is number one because I can't think straight right now. Because you know why? I became dumber.
Oh man, that is cold. That is cold. I don't know about that.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely,
brother.
thank you.
Okay, you bet. Get the shower ready, will you please?
I got it.
Thank you.
Gospel Live. This is the Rich Eisen Show.
Strikingly good-looking bald man.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
That is not a Photoshop picture of Tom Brady in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers helmet.
Look at that.
Download and podcast at richeisenshow.com.
You know what I really enjoy, Rich? Your hair in the last ad.
Earlier on the show, ESPN College Game Day host Rece Davis. Coming up, Lions head coach Matt Patricia, host of the new game show Fox's Ultimate Tag, The Watt Brothers. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Hey, everybody. It's a wonderful Wednesday here on The Rich Eisen Show. We're welcoming our NBCSN audience. Hello to NBCSN. We're on from 1 to 3 Eastern every single weekday right here. We've got a fun show for you over the next 2 hours right here. Chris Brockman at his usual post, my longtime friend and producer back in the day from our podcast days from which this show was born 5.5 years ago.
2011, baby.
Oh, my gosh. And Mike Del Tufo, good to see you.
Good to see you, Rich.
Yeah, 2011. That was the old lockout year in the National Football League.
Oof.
When the NFL network programming group turns to me and says, hey, how would you like to turn your podcast into a weekly show?
Let's rock.
And they said, we're looking for some cheap programming. And I said, I will do it as long as you call it inexpensive programming. And that was born. We did that for 56 straight weeks.
We did that
counting.
for, consecutive. And then we started doing specials. But I came in around episode 6.
You did? Yeah. Episode 6.
I just booted number 1 over to a new Blu-ray because we recorded it.
What do you mean you booted it?
I took it and made it to a digital.
Oh, so there's like a Blu-ray. Do you have like the big disc, like
no,
the original Star Wars I played on my huge
disc? It was on a disc, but I wanted to make it like on a multiple thing because I had the first episode we did.
Well, now look at us.
I know.
Now look at us. Now look at us. We've got Matt Patricia, the head coach of the Detroit Lions, going to be joining us very shortly. The Lions not back in their Allen Park, Michigan facility yet. As you know, the state of Michigan is still on a shelter-in-place, stay-at-home order through May 28th. The Watt brothers are going to be joining us together, all three of them at once, JJ, TJ, Derek Watt. And they will all be together. Derek and TJ, teammates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. We all know JJ getting set for another season in Houston. And there is no DeAndre Hopkins now. I will ask that question of JJ.
Oh.
Of his thoughts. Was he surprised by the dealing away of, I mean, you want to talk about the three people you think of when you think of Houston Texans football. You think of J.J. Watt, you think of Deshaun Watson, you think of DeAndre Hopkins, but now obviously one of them is an Arizona Cardinal. That will be coming up in our third hour of the program. The Watt brothers are hosting together Ultimate Tag. And those are guys who used to tagging people of their own, chasing down quarterbacks, or in the case of Derek Watt, tagging somebody in the hole as a fullback. He will be joining us in the third hour of this program. And the what's old is new again. There's 2 NBA stories that everybody's talking about right now. One is fresh about 5 minutes ago. One is 30 years old. Which one do you want to talk about first, Chris? I'll give you the option. 30 years old or 5 minutes ago? I'll just say 5 minutes ago.
I was going to say, let's keep it fresh. 5 minutes ago.
Keep it fresh. Keep it fresh. Keep it fresh.
Keep it fair.
Keith Smith, who covers the National Basketball Associations for Yahoo Sports. He tweeted out now 9 minutes ago. 9 minutes ago. Sources from Walt Disney World tell me. Now, as you know, Disney World, I think, opened part of its park in the last couple days.
Oh.
Quote, we are confident, this is a source from Walt Disney World, quote, we are confident we'll be hosting the NBA in some fashion. It may not be the entire league, but we believe the NBA will be here at least to finish part of their season. Still hurdles to cross, but we're preparing as if that's the case. So,
okay,
I guess that means much of the Eastern Conference, potentially. It'll be Mr. Embiid's wild ride, and the Raptors will come into the country and quarantine for 14 days in the Polynesian hotel, and then they'll take the monorail over to the game? Or
I can't picture these guys fitting into the "It's a Small World After All."
I
ride.
don't think that, I don't think that's possible, but I'll take it. So Walt Disney World, which we all know as the Disney, the parent company of ESPN and ABC, which is along with Turner, partners of television partners of the NBA. Oh man, I hope this is correct. Now, where would the rest of the NBA go? Would Las Vegas, Nevada be the other part?
For the West?
That
would be great.
That was what was discussed weeks ago.
Yeah.
When Cuban went on one of his many interviews and talked about a bubble community being set up in Las Vegas, where if businesses and casinos aren't open and places that you would think would be potentially too enticing for players to stay in their hotels are open for people to stay. You know, they're totally empty. You could take one of the hotels, right, and have the players stay in there.
Totally. And in Florida, that's an ESPN Wide World of Sports Center that's on the campus of Disney World. So that makes sense.
Right. I mean, that there's a spot where I know I was having fun with, but they could stay in the Polynesian Hotel, where, by the way, I stayed when I was
it's the only one we didn't
young
stay
lad.
in.
Huh?
The only one I've never stayed in.
Yeah, you never stayed. You stayed in the Contemporary Hotel.
I stayed in Contemporary.
How contemporary is the Contemporary Hotel now? Because I remember back then it was Contemporary. I mean, it looked like the Jetsons, which looked contemporary at the time. There's the tweet in question, folks. There it is. Okay, so that's the latest there.
That'd be awesome.
The other latest is Horace Grant unloading on The Last Dance and Michael Jordan. Play those two other sound bites that we played earlier for our NBC Sports Network audience. Mike Del Tufo, hit it.
He said, I was a snitch, but yet and still after 30 or 35 years, he brings up his rookie year going into one of his teammates' room and seeing coke and weed and women. My point is, why in the hell did he want to bring that up? What's that got to do with anything? If you want to call somebody a snitch, that's a damn snitch right there. It's only a grudge, man. I'm telling you, it was only a grudge. And I think he proved that during this so-called documentary when if you say something about him, he's going to cut you off. He's going to try to destroy your character. Charles Barkley, they've been friends for over 20, 30 years, and he said something about Michael's management with the Charlotte Bobcats or the Charlotte Hornets, and then they haven't spoken since then.
Yeah, I assume Horace does not care to be on the outside looking in with Michael since I guess he feels he's already been there for 25 some odd years, and he'll just continue to unload right there. Horace Grant talking about The Last Dance and on a radio show. All right, ESPN 1000 in Chicago.
But is Horace still mad, or is Michael still mad that Horace went to Orlando? Is that where all this stems from?
I think Michael thinks Horace Grant was the source for Sam Smith's Jordan Rules book that is now, if I'm not mistaken, a 29-year-old book. And Sam Smith had a lot of stuff in there about Jordan behind the scenes and gambling on planes. And it was the first time where we saw Michael Jordan not packaged in a Nike commercial or a McDonald's commercial or anything else. It was the first time his image was out of his control, it looked like. And I think that's something that Michael probably spent much of his time trying to suss out some people. And he said right there in the documentary, it was Horace Grant. And this is what happens, obviously, as you know, as we are in a world where we're hanging on everybody's tweet about, is it possible the NBA could come back to Disney World? I'm going to Disney World. Hey, everybody, I've got COVID-19 protocols. Where are you going to go? I'm going to Disney World. Like that's basically what we're desperate for. And we had a 2, sometimes 3, 4 decade-old story captivate us for 2 hours every Sunday night, and we've been talking about it like it's a new sporting event because we are in search of something, and it was so amazingly done, well done, captivating. And it captivates you. We see our numbers on our YouTube stream, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show, what you watch, what you click on Twitter. And it interests me. It's fascinating to me because it is something that you can plug into our current world where a dynasty is broken up. And we just saw Brady leave New England after 20 years. We see how there's a general manager back in the day who didn't draft the player that was the most important player on the team and is widely viewed as one of the best in the history of the franchise. And the reason why I'm calling Jordan that is to analogize this to what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, every time we've heard some story over the last few weeks, it's like, reminds me of The Last Dance. We're captivated by it. But now we're going to see, too, and I don't think I'm going to throw myself in that category, even though I did come on the air on Monday and say I was disappointed in the finish of it. I just wanted more of a definitive answer on how the team got broken up. And we have since heard from Jerry Reinsdorf as everybody's kind of giving an exit interview in places. We got Rod Thorne on yesterday's show. We conducted a Last Dance exit interview with him, hitting him on the drafting of Jordan and the snubbing of Isaiah Thomas from the Dream Team. We had an exit interview with Ahmad Rashad yesterday, and we learned from Ahmad that he's learned nothing from this documentary because he had a front row seat to all of it when it was happening. And talk about a front row seat. He let us know he's been watching The Last Dance with Michael.
And tequila.
In tequila. And he wasn't there the night that Jordan got the alleged pizza in question. In quotes. I can't say alleged in question in quotes more about a pizza in my entire life. That he wasn't there, but he was on the phone when it arrived. That's how much of an inside seat Ahmad had to all this. So we're conducting all these interviews. We're going to hear more and more about what wasn't in there. We're going to hear more stories about what wasn't in there. And Horace Grant is alleging there's a lot that wasn't in there because it wasn't a documentary. We'll play some more of that stuff later on. So it's not surprising to me that players who do not feel that the full story on their part was told, even though Horace Grant did sit down. Isn't Karl Malone even the last 48 hours getting crap that he showed up on Pardon My Take and didn't sit down for Jason Hare?
That surprised me. I couldn't believe that. Jason Hare said Karl Malone and Brian Russell, the only two big names to not sit down.
No, they didn't sit down. And in terms of Karl Malone having an axe to grind or he had an issue with Jordan, he showed up on that big, huge Zoom on NBA TV had. Yeah, and we saw video of him boarding the bus after the Last Dance to shake Jordan's hand.
If anyone wouldn't have sat down, you'd think it'd been Isaiah Thomas.
He sat down. And the only time that we saw the Kobe interview was in relation to the Madison Square Garden All-Star Game in 1998. That was Jordan's last All-Star Game. Yeah. And I would love to I just want to see everything Kobe said. That couldn't be the only stuff that they hit him on.
No,
but the only stuff that
for a little bit, yeah.
We're still, I mean, honestly, if there was an NBA playoffs going on right now, well, obviously it wouldn't have aired. They were planning on airing it after the NBA Finals. But it is just fascinating to me, the recriminations and the relitigation. And we're going to have Ramona Shelburne on tomorrow. We have invited Jerry Reinsdorf on this show. I would love to interview him about all this stuff. And he gave an exit interview to her. She's going to be on tomorrow's show to talk about it. And I can't wait to talk to her about it.
Which of the people interviewed for The Last Dance would you pay money to see the unedited beginning to end of their interview?
Jordan. I want to see an entire, another episode of The Last Dance of Jordan just getting handed stuff on the iPad for him to look at everybody's answers and responses. And I'm sure he saw stuff in this documentary that he didn't get to see from Jason Hare on an iPad because it was, I don't know if Jason finished the documentary's interviews with Jordan one last time. So he had everything that he could give to Michael. I'm just wondering if there's stuff that Jordan reacted to for the first time, seeing it on television with Ahmad sitting next to him.
Because Horace Grant is making it seem like Jordan was in the editing bay telling Jason what to put in and what to put out.
Well,
I mean, Mike's not getting cuts sent to him.
No, but you saw, if you just know people from Mike world, from MJ world, from Nike world, they're all over the credits as executive producers. I mean, he had some people, I'm sure, who were in on. But again, if I'm Jason Hare, I'm hearing that stuff, and I'm sure his hair's on fire. He got everything. He put it in there, but the stuff like Jordan spitting on the pizza that Jason Hare knew that he told Dan Patrick about.
I mean, that would have been nice to have seen.
Yeah, I mean,
Sunday.
if you knew it, why wasn't it? I mean, again, that's the nitpicking stuff. But you're going to more stuff that wasn't in this documentary is going to come out, and we will discuss it because A, it's fascinating. B, as long as we have literally nothing else live sports to discuss, we will have this conversation because it is fascinating, and it's involving one of the most fascinating public figures we've ever seen lace up a pair of sneakers, pair of shoes, especially since those shoes that he laced up. There's a reason why he's got billions in the bank. You know, it's not just Big Macs and 6 championships.
Because I'm buying
All right,
$2 sneakers.
844-204-RICH is the number to dial. Matt Patricia, the Detroit Lions, coming up. And one of the burning questions here on this show, a movie like Roadhouse, as I revealed yesterday, that I still haven't seen. We'll get to your phone calls at 844-204-RICH. Yes, correct. All right, our buddy David in Houston's been hanging for a while. Let's take his phone call. What's up, David? How you been, brother?
I know for the 454s, it's important to talk about sweaters. So
Okay.
That's my subject of the day.
Thank you, sir. What do you have?
Well, we all enjoyed, guessing some of the colors. You used to call it lime green. We used to call it jade green.
Okay.
We still don't know what Monday's color was. It was kind of a green with a brown.
I think, was it? Well, I don't remember what I wore Monday. I think I wore the charcoal gray sweater. I think that's what I wore, if I'm not mistaken.
Sometimes it's tough to tell the sweater on until we get to the NBC portion.
Is this really? Does TJ have his microphone over there? Rich Eisen, social media grandmaster. Does he have his microphone over there? Michael, can you, Del Tufo, can you turn it on? Is this really a subject of conversation in the wormhole?
What, your
TJ?
sweater? Your
Yes.
sweaters?
Yes.
Sure, all the time. There's a couple ladies have suggested you bring a sweater to work with you. I understand being from Houston, certainly not wearing a sweater.
Okay.
But
Your
my
sweater
question-
conversation
one of my
takes up
questions
about
was-
20%.
Okay, 20%. Jeez. Okay.
Especially in the morning. They're really into it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Do you buy your own sweaters? Do you have a professional shopper? Your wife buy them?
Do I buy my own sweaters? That's a loaded question.
He's got a wife.
You know what? Let me answer this question with this, David. The whole conversation about how I appeared on The Last Dance out of the blue, 1998. That was the year after I met my wife, who at the time was a producer at ESPN for the Sunday Morning Sports Center and various other programs. And she didn't like the ties that I was wearing on the air and proceeded to buy me a handful of them as gifts, which I thought was an indication that she was returning my affection, which at the time really wasn't the case until later on. We have 3 beautiful children now. Did I mention that?
Yeah.
Did I mention that?
Yeah, a few times.
All right. When she saw
So you
me,
haven't been shopping since?
when
Is
she
that
no,
the
when she
answer?
saw me on The Last Dance, she's like, "Did I buy you that tie?" Does that answer your question as to who buys my sweaters?
I think so.
Okay, thank you,
think
David.
so.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate it. Gifts too. There's gifts. There's gifts. I love how the subject like this comes up. You don't even look at me. You're just looking. You don't want to get a text from my wife. You don't want to ever sit. Nobody wants to be receiving end of that.
It was 25-1, no sweater today. I took it.
And by the way, you wonder where Taylor gets all of these note writing skills and her voice from. 844-204-RICH, the head coach of the Detroit Lions, Matt Patricia, when we come back. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. As I'm about to bring in the head coach of the Detroit Lions, I want to send all of our best. I'm sure nobody's out there watching. Certainly, if they're fleeing floodwater that's bringing up to 9 feet of water, as thousands of residents in central Michigan, Midland County, Michigan, 2 dam failures. My goodness, the governor of the great state of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer is saying that the flooding is projected to be historic, and we are just crestfallen, nervous, and hoping for only the best of what's going on in the state that I love so much, because it's the spot that that made me, in many ways, the person that I am today, having gone to school there. So I just wanted to say that and bring in the head coach of the Detroit Lions, Matt Patricia, here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Coach?
Rich, how you doing? I appreciate you saying that. You know, it's always good to hear your voice and great to be on with you. And certainly, you know, our thoughts and prayers are with Central Michigan right now and everybody that is dealing with the flooding situation up there. I mean, on top of everything else that's kind of going on in our state right now, you know, I know everybody is resilient and tough, but just staying strong, you know, just amazing, you know, situation that everybody's got to deal with.
I know, man. I know. And at some point, you know, we're going to come out of this, or in the middle of all this, so many people are going to be looking to you and your team and saying, let's go. You know, they're going to say, let's go. And the question is, you know, at some point we'll have to figure out the go. Where are you right now in figuring out the go, Coach?
Yeah, great question. And certainly, you know, we actually talk about that as a team quite a bit, and especially with the area, with everything that everyone's going through. You know, our guys have done a great job in this offseason of reaching out to the community and trying to help everybody that they can in time of need right now, and just really proud of our players for that. You know, and then on top of that, we're just in the process of our offseason program. We're in the middle of what we consider phase 2, and we're trying to keep things as normal as possible in unnormal times. And that's really kind of our term right now, is just staying normal. And we're in meetings with the players, you know, 4 days a week, getting ready to finish up our phase 2 at the end of the month, and then work into what we call phase 3. Phase 3 will be the biggest change for us. That's usually what's commonly referred to as OTAs, where we're actually out in practice and on the field. And that'll be a little bit different right now. But our players are doing a great job of staying engaged on the calls and making sure we're doing all the virtual teaching and learning at the highest level we can. So, you know, from that standpoint, we're pushing forward, and we're just going to be ready for whenever that is that we can go, we're going to go.
Well, and in terms of that, you know, right now you're in a state where a shelter in place is in place for at least another couple of weeks, and then there are other teams that are back in facilities. Have you or anybody from your organization called up the league office and say that this is something that you hope can be rectified if it does go longer for teams like yourself, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, we're certainly trying to look at all options. You know, what's most important right now is that everybody just stays safe, especially in our area. You know, the 2 counties right now in Wayne County and Oakland County that have been hit really hard. That's the heart and center of where, you know, our facilities are and most of where our team lives. So from that standpoint, you know, I have 2 neighbors that are doctors, our team doctor. I talk to them all the time, and I can just tell by the looks on their faces of what they're going through, being on the front lines and having to deal with everything that they've had to deal with here over the last couple of months. And quite frankly, I think, you know, from my standpoint, I'm doing everything possible to get our team ready to go. But I also, you know, the health and safety of our team and everyone in the areas is the most important to me. And I want to make sure that we don't add to that stress by, you know, just trying to rush back in a situation that's not safe.
What about you, man? I mean, how do you draw upon anything to try and coach through something for which there really is no playbook?
Yeah, you know, great question. I just think, you know, I rely heavily on my staff. I have a great staff, and, you know, we just kind of talk about different ideas. I've really encouraged everybody to take this opportunity, you know, first and foremost, to enjoy their family and just be blessed for what we all have and the safety and the health that everyone has right now. I think that's the most important thing. And then on top of that, to really try to grow as a staff, grow as a coach, think outside the box, have conversation across the ball a little bit more, call up some of your colleagues, see what they're doing, try to expand our knowledge to the best of our ability so that we can pass that on to our players and just become better coaches overall.
Who have you called? Do you call anybody else? Do you call anybody from your past, or what do you got? Drop a name.
I might have made a few phone calls. I think I know where you're reaching there, but I would say
no. Come on now.
I'll follow you. I got you.
I mean, a Nantucket area code. I mean, is that what what do you think?
I don't think that's the area code. I don't really think that's it.
Okay.
So,
all right.
What was kind of cool? You got me there. What was kind of cool was getting ready for the draft. I thought what was pretty interesting for myself as we were talking to college coaches that were actually already in this process. They have already started spring football and were kind of had to move to the virtual learning. I thought that was really great conversation for me, was to be able to talk to those guys, not only about their players that were coming out, but what they were doing with their players and how much the virtual capabilities, they were able to use and then push. And really, I learned a lot, from that aspect of it, and maybe benefited from some of the trial and error that they had already gone through. So from that standpoint, that was really neat, really getting ready for the draft. But at the same time, we were getting ready for our own virtual meetings that we had to have with our players.
Okay. And you certainly contacted Ryan Day, judging by your draft. That's for sure. You had some conversations with him, huh?
Yeah, I mean, as a Wolverine, I apologize to you for that.
It's, look, you've got to try and win football games. I don't take any offense to it. I'm sure you did speak to Jim Harbaugh at some point in time, but I'm just looking at your draft here. My gosh, you went deep.
No, I did actually. Jim was great. We talked quite a bit. We talked after the draft, but a couple Buckeyes that we brought up from Ohio. So certainly guys that we thought just really fit what we were trying to do and fit some needs that we had. But Ryan Day was great. I spoke to him obviously many times, and Jeff Hafley, who is one of the defensive coaches I spoke to, also is now the head coach at Boston College. So those were two great guys for me to talk to in that other world of, hey, what are you doing with your team right now, and how you helping them learn. But there's a few Buckeye additions there.
Okay, well, before I get to Okudah specifically, Matt Patricia here on the Rich Eisen Show, how much fire potentially was there for trading out of that 3? Trading 3rd overall. That was a spot where everyone was looking at, somebody was wanting to get nervous at the quarterback that they wanted, and clearly you're not in that business, 3rd overall. How much possibility was there for you to trade out of that spot?
Yeah, honestly, there was zero. There was zero opportunity to move. And I think that if you take a look at, us at the 3rd pick, and then the Giants with Joe Judge, and certainly Brian Flores at Miami, 3 people that are very familiar with each other. I'll just kind of put it that way.
Yeah,
so I think that everyone kind of postured and played their cards very well. And in the end, everyone just sat where they were. And I think everyone did a good job of understanding, after those first 2 picks were gone, what everybody was kind of interested in. And from that standpoint, no different than the Chargers, kind of right behind that. So there was really there was no opportunity. And for us, we were fully prepared and ready to, make sure that we got the best guy that we wanted, and that certainly was Jeff Okudah.
Why is that? Why was he the best guy in your estimation, 3rd overall?
For us, at the position that we were looking to try to help our team out with, the corner position was one, and certainly from a skill set standpoint, we've been watching him for a while, and in the conversations with Ryan Day and with, Jeff Hafley, who coached their defense last year. I knew that the fundamentals and the techniques that he was being taught was going to be very similar and almost identical to some of the stuff that we do. The other great thing, sometimes it's hard to really see corners in college play press technique. A lot of corners play off. They play a little bit of a quarter system, and he's a guy that you could see on tape really get up on the receivers and use some press technique and play some man-to-man. So all of that on tape was great. And then to be really, honest with you, was when we got a chance to meet the young man and spend time with him and find out his character, his background, and just what a wonderful person he is. Really great on the field, but even better off the field. And for us, it's just about having the right guys and having the right people. And he's one of those guys. He just wants to win. He cares about being competitive, and really just good characteristics behind that. So for us, it was easy.
And then 35th overall, second round, you got a guy that many people in the evaluation community thought was the best running back that was available in this year's draft, in DeAndre Swift. Why did you go in that direction, Coach?
Yeah, for us, I always think the draft right now and how it's set up between Thursday night and Friday night, and really Friday into Saturday, it's very interesting. There's a lot of strategy, a lot of, analysis that goes involved with, okay, what do we think is going to happen here, at the top of the round, and who's going to be left as we go through into the third round. And I think for us, with him still being on the board and Swift available, it was really kind of a situation where, like, hey, that's, I can't believe he's still there. And if he's still there, we're going to take him, and it's going to be a really good day. So from that aspect of it, it was great for us. I know our quarterback was happy to get another Bulldog in the building.
I'm sure.
And from that standpoint, Kirby's a great coach, and I know him really well down there, and just, couldn't speak the world enough of him. So everything checked the boxes for us, a guy that we think was dynamic enough in the run game, explosive, big playmaker, but also can catch the ball, get out of the backfield, open up the formation, and just put a lot of pressure, on a defense as possible, and just make those plays that we need to be made.
Should we be so fortunate to get a training camp, Coach? Will there be a competition at that spot for the starter at running back?
I think there's competition at every spot. That's kind of how I like to term it when we get to training camp. I'm probably pretty sure I'm good with the quarterback spot. But beyond that, we're going to go out and we're going to compete. But I think of the running backs in general, I've talked about this all the time. For me, we're going to try to play whoever's going to help us in that particular play, that particular game, whatever it might be. And, if you're out there for the very first play, or you get out there on the second play, I don't really understand what the difference is between a starter in that case. We got Kerryon Johnson, Ty Johnson, who we picked up, Bo Scarborough, who helped us last year, Wes Hills, who we added last year, Huntley. I mean, we'll get those guys out there and we'll see what happens. But certainly we're excited about, being able to acquire Swift and get him on our team and seeing what he can do. Sometimes you put 2 or 3 running backs out there. Let's see what happens.
We've got the HC of the Detroit Lions, Matt Patricia, for a few more minutes here on the Rich Eisen Show. You've made reference to your quarterback, Matthew Stafford, a couple times in this interview so far. The real estate market is in the news in the state of Michigan because of the sale of the Stafford Mance, and people are reading into all that. Do you read into the real estate market, Coach?
Yeah, I definitely do not read into the real estate market unless it's my house.
Okay.
So other than that, I'm good. I know there's a lot of things that were out there, and quite frankly, they were, I think the word I used was laughable, that everybody was asking me about. But, from my standpoint, Matthew Stafford and I just couldn't be more happy, more blessed to be in a situation where he's our quarterback. Since day one I walked in the building, just so impressed with him, as a player, as a person, his intelligence of the game, the way he studies, and just, his knowledge overall. I just enjoy those conversations so much. So, all of that is really great. And, he and I are just really, like you said, hoping that football gets going here sooner than later and we can all just get out on the field and be normal and do what we do. But until then, we're just trying to make the best of it.
I know it's dangerous isn't the word, but I guess dicey for to ask a coach in the NFL a question about the media. But why do you think this is constantly a conversation about Stafford and the Lions, and maybe he's been offered or people are knocking on your door for him? Why do you think that's a constant drumbeat last couple of years?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I would say I have no idea. Honestly, it's a lot of times I think people just try to speculate, or they, throw darts at the board, see what sticks, and then people run with it. So that's why from that standpoint for us, we just kind of I don't want to say pay no mind, but we just don't really pay attention to that. It's just all about doing what we do and staying focused and moving forward. So, certainly from that avenue, I really don't know.
Well, I mean, you could have given me an honest Cincinnati answer, and I appreciate you didn't. I appreciate that you actually expounded on that, Matt. I really appreciate that. Speaking of that, were you surprised that Brady left your old spot? Were you surprised that he's going to be wearing Tampa Bay pewter?
That's a great question. Haven't been there in a couple of years, so I don't know if I can really speak on any of that other than the fact that, I know Tom is super competitive, and he's a great person. He's a great guy, and I know Tampa Bay is going to be real excited to have him, and he's going to go down there and do everything he can to try to win. Certainly spent a lot of great years with Tom Brady, and someone that I just I love so much and consider a really close friend, and just know that he's going to go compete, and he loves to play this game, and wish him all the best. Except when we play him, obviously.
Obviously, do you play him this year? I'm trying to see. I don't think you do, though. Do you? Is he on your schedule?
We do. You got to know this as a Michigan guy.
You know what? I'm kind of embarrassed. I'm looking right now. You do play him. Are you aware that when you do see him on week 16, it was in your house that Tom got his first ever reps as a professional quarterback on a Thanksgiving? Are you aware of that fact?
You know what? I'm not going to lie to you. I was not aware of that.
There you go.
At all. So
that's my history lesson for the day.
A little bit of education for me right there.
Well, it's only fitting, as you know, he's revered up the road from you, as you know, revered up the road.
I have definitely gone to that stadium with my kids, taken some pictures, and maybe sent them to him. I definitely think we've done that.
When I went in the locker room, because Jim Harbaugh reached out to me to be an honorary captain one day, and I crushed it,
of course. I mean,
although I forgot what he instructed me and the players to call to ask for should we Michigan, we for the day win the toss. Forgot what we were supposed to do if we lost the toss. And the players at the time that were out there, Jake Butt was on the team at the time. They looked at me, and I'm like, I'm honorary. Like, I don't remember this thing.
Yeah.
And I remember.
I'm really not playing in this game.
Okay.
This is really your call.
I know. So this is funny. This is funny. So we go back to the sideline, and Harbaugh's already got his hands on his knees. He's focused, right? The ball's about to be kicked off. And this is after I got introduced and fans cheered, and I doffed my cap like I was Lou Gehrig, like I didn't know what the hell to do. So I go back, and he stares at me, and I think to myself, did I just screw up the toss? And he looks at me, and he just suddenly breaks into a smile and goes, hey, nice ovation. And I'm like, I think I got it right.
Dodge one there.
But the reason why I tell that story is I go in the locker room that day, there's one picture of Bo on the wall and two of Tom Brady. So that's all you need to know.
Yeah, I could see that. I think we got to get you out here. See if we can get that right. Maybe you can come out to a Lions game, and look, it is one of the most stressful things as a head coach. You're trying to explain to the players, and you're just like, okay, am I screwing this up? Are you going to screw this up? The verbiage is a little bit messed up here. So I do a lot of hand signals. I make sure we point.
Right.
Just trying to be clear. I try to use landmarks in the stadium. So, there's nothing worse, especially. What's so funny is that indoor obviously is completely different than when you're playing outdoor stadiums, especially late in the year. And, does it really matter one way or another?
I don't know. I mean, you could have like a Parcells knowledge of your stadium, know that if a garage door is open, there's a draft or something like that.
There's been a few fans that happen to come on once in a while. I'm not saying that doesn't happen every now and then, but if you got a Southside stadium where you can open up a door and create a little bit of a wind, there's that. Sometimes those buttons they just get pushed.
Interesting. I'll just make a note. I'll make a mental note of that. Hey, before I let you go, we mentioned here on our show yesterday that for some reason, don't worry about how it came up, but it did. I've never seen the movie Roadhouse from beginning to end, and so many of them, or the movie Point Break at all, and my colleagues here are very upset with me for that. Is there a film that you've never seen that you'd be embarrassed to admit that you've never seen? I know you're a football coach and you're in the tank many times watching game film and not actually cinema, but is there a movie you've never seen that would be somewhat embarrassing for you, Matt Patricia, to admit that you've never seen?
That is an outstanding question.
Thank you, sir.
I'll say this. I have purposely not caught up yet on the Star Wars movies because I just know that when I watch them, I cannot be interrupted, and I just got to sit down and I want to grind through all of them.
Is that right?
I have, as a huge Star Wars fan, as a kid and growing up,
yes.
That is embarrassing to me that I have yet to see those. But
the new ones. The new ones.
I got to
you're
watch
saying.
them all at once.
But
The new ones. I haven't done it yet.
But the old Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, you're locked in on that. But the new ones you have not.
1977, sitting in the cinema, front row, giant screen, like eating popcorn, probably too much. Yeah, that was me all the way.
Okay. All right, Matt. Thanks for the call, brother. Great chatting with you as always. Really appreciate the time. Always.
Always, and always great to talk to you.
Right back to
Appreciate everything that you do all the time, and
Thank you.
Hope everyone just stays safe and stays healthy.
And I always appreciate your support of my run for St. Jude. You do every year. You're a generous man, Coach. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Right back at you. That's Detroit Lions head coach Matt Patricia. Here on the Rich Eisen Show. So he's not seen any of the recent Star Wars.
Yeah, the new one.
There's a lot to spoil.
Okay. There's a lot going on in those movies, yeah.
Rogue One is the best of them all. Is that a hot take? Is that a hot take?
No.
Rogue One is the best of all the new Star Wars.
The last 5 minutes of Rogue One.
It's really moving.
Phenomenal.
I know.
It's great. Great movie.
Spoiler alert. Right? Did we ruin stuff?
Last 5
What
minutes?
movies are you embarrassed you haven't seen? Join me. 844-204-RICH. We'll take your phone calls when we come back. I'm seeing who's on line one
I'm just
right
saying,
there.
making sure you saw who's on line one.
Just look down. Hey, for our YouTube and Sirius XM audience, I go to break. I do two things when we go to break. I do take a look at the Twitter feed to see what's happened. What's
popping?
Right? What's popping?
Yep.
Why is Paul Pierce trending?
Paul Pierce.
Why is Paul Pierce trending?
He's my favorite Celtic. I love Paul Pierce, but his mouth is kind of dumb. He's saying LeBron James not a top 5 player of all time.
Did I not tell you what was going to happen after The Last Dance? Did I not tell you? Did I not see this coming? Had no idea it would be Paul Pierce taking that bait. Dude. My gosh.
Not a good take by Paul.
So I'm looking down. I'm seeing that.
Not a good take by Paul Pierce.
So now I'm just seeing how the world is falling apart potentially, and if there's any other news that's going on in the sports world. And then I look down at the phone lines and I see who's on, and I can't wait to take some of these phone calls. That's all I'm going to say. And then Don Bowie gets in my ear and says, "Check this out. Something from Chad Johnson. Oh, he tipped somebody $1,000.
Yeah, Chad did.
In Florida. Well done. Congrats on reopening. Sorry about the pandemic. Hope that I love Chad Johnson. I love it.
Yeah, he's a good human.
I love Chad. Good thing he put that comma there because he didn't put a decimal.
And there's sort of a little dot there.
I didn't see the dot.
A little dot.
He still owes me a pair of Debos. Literally 10 years overdue.
Time to pay up.
Well, it's exactly 10 years overdue. It was at that Pro Bowl that the Saints won at the Super Bowl in South Florida. We were all there for the Pro Bowl, and he came on, and he said he'd send me a pair of Debos. What are you, 10.5? I'm like, yes, I'm 10.5. I shouldn't bring that up when he's so damn generous. I haven't seen Jurassic Park. Is that me as Sam Neill? Is that me as Sam Neill?
The Velociraptor.
And I love you guys are saying you should catch up on it. I'm like, I've got 3 small children. There's no way.
Maybe skip a night of The Masked Singer. Come on.
Exactly. Let them watch it.
Mike,
would they?
Would they freak out at Jurassic
the
Park?
Velociraptors would scare the crap out of your kids.
Are you kidding me?
You can't have them
would
watch.
Be fine watching that.
Cooper's God. I shouldn't say
the Velociraptors. They open doors.
He goes like this at the bad moments of Tom and Jerry.
That's a little
I
scary.
didn't show him that. He lasted Goonies. He lasted a half an hour.
What got him with Goonies?
What do you think? Anything from Goonies. The movie stunk.
Wow.
Oh.
Eight 844-204-RICH, number to dial love. Being on NBCSN, Sirius XM, YouTube.com/Rich Eisen Show. We are so fortunate to have you as listeners and viewers and on demand and real time. I say that with every fiber of my being, and hope to be able to continue it for some time. Great chat with Matt Patricia, head coach of the Detroit Lions. I'm rooting for him, man. I like him. him.
And I love his quarterback.
And he's kind of unlike any of those, Belichick coaches, right? Where he's He doesn't give you the short. By the way, one of the things I always appreciate from an interviewee, an interview subject coming on the show, is to tell me I've asked a great question. If I'm not mistaken, I got 3 great questions, and then the one that I got at the end was outstanding question about films that are in our blind spots. Our poll question yesterday was in honor of the 31st anniversary of Roadhouse being unspooled for the first time at a theater near you. Best Patrick Swayze movie of all time. Point Break and Roadhouse were neck and neck at the end. Who won the poll over Ghost and
Point Break won
Dirty Dancing
39-37.
And I threw it out at the end. Literally, Don Bowie, our executive producer, was counting me down in my ear. Last 30 seconds of the show, and I just revealed never seen Point Break, and I've never seen Roadhouse beginning to end. I've seen parts of it. I've never sat down and watched it fully beginning to end. Rece Davis texted me on the spot. That's why he was our first guest today in our first hour. So I just decided to ask, what's the one film that you've never seen that is embarrassing to admit? And there's one more in my dark spot that you will never be able to, you will lose it, Chris.
Are you going to wait for the countdown?
I'll wait till the very, I know I'm not going to wait for the last 30 seconds. Okay. I'll wait till after the Watt brothers join us in our final hour. I'm
myself because I'm just thinking, what could it possibly be?
So I've asked you to call in 844-204-RICH and tell us what's a blind spot for you. Let's go to who's been waiting the longest. That will be Nelson in the great city of Boston. What's up, Nelson?
What's up, Rich?
What's going on, Nelson?
How you doing, man? I love the show. Long time, first time.
Appreciate
you step your shoe game up.
Yep.
With the Jordan, the 13s the other day.
Yep.
Yeah, Brock and Del Tufo, what's up? I sent you guys a video of my pug, Bugsy, but you guys didn't see it.
Mike, you're a pug guy.
I follow the pug. Send that again.
Nelson. Yeah, I did. I sent it a while ago.
It's Doug the Pug's birthday today.
Nelson, I got to ask you, are you originally from Boston?
All my life.
What part of Boston?
East Boston.
Okay.
With Jermaine.
Okay.
With Jermaine Wiggins.
Okay. Jermaine. Wow.
Yeah. Wiggy. But listen.
Yes.
What I'm calling about, the most embarrassing movie that I have never saw is The Godfather.
Come on. Really?
Yeah, I'm telling you, and that's obviously a great show.
Oh.
I mean, a great movie.
It is.
And I have all the DVDs.
So
that's the worst part.
What are we doing, bro?
Oh yeah. What are you?
Well, it's
filming?
the same as your picks, Brock. They stink.
Nelson from Boston is bringing it, and he's clearly been watching this show for a long ass time.
I have. You know what else is a great movie?
Yes.
It's from your buddy, all right, from Texas.
Matt McConaughey.
Yeah, A Time to Kill.
Okay, there you go.
That's a great one. I love your work.
Thanks,
I love your
Nelson.
guys' show.
Call back.
Keep it up. All right, I will.
Back at
Be
you. There
good,
you go.
brother. Say how do you motherfucker?
So is it The Godfather? Is that what he basically just said?
Godfather.
Susie hates it when I do a Boston accent.
The Godfather.
Let's go to Ben in Cincinnati. You're here on the Rich Eisen Show. What's up, Ben?
Hi, Rich. How's it going?
We've just moved on to Cincinnati, didn't we? At 844-204-RICH. What do you got over there, Ben?
Okay, so I am somebody with a degree in TV and film, and I've literally never said this out loud before, so I got to get them off my chest.
Really? Are you serious? You have a degree in television and film?
Yeah.
And you are about to reveal something that people who went to school with you and earned a similar degree of television and film, they do not know. You're about to reveal that. Unburden yourself here. Nobody knows. Ben, you have the floor.
I have never laid eyes on any of the Godfather movies.
What's the matter with these people?
I've never seen one.
What is the matter?
Let's get them all. Let's hit them all now while we got the money.
That's right. Frank Pantangeli's coming for everybody.
Getting them now.
What? You have how do you have a degree in? What's the word? Conferred this
Rich,
degree?
to back him up, I have the same thing, and I took a lot of film classes. We did not watch The Godfather in any of those classes.
Then you did not.
Citizen Kane,
do not have. Then you do not have a degree in film. Then you do not have a degree in film.
My teacher graduated from NYU, which was probably in the top 2 film schools in America right now, between USC and that. So yes, but The Godfather is not part of that.
Ben,
world.
Not a part of the curriculum.
It's not.
How's
Thank
that,
you, Rich.
Ben?
Yeah.
What school did you go to?
I went to Southeast Missouri State in Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Okay. Ben, that's the hotbed of filmmaking. Clearly,
It's an up and coming school.
Okay.
I'm really proud of it.
Okay. Well, you gotta go watch the Godfather
You got
film.
3 hours today. Just chill
honestly,
out and watch it.
Thank you for the call. I mean,
I'm making him an
I don't know
offer.
where did this come up. This conversation. Top 5 movies of all time. Top 5 movies of all time. Godfather 2.
Easy.
Godfather 1. Goodfellas. Clearly, I'm biased about that stuff.
Goodfellas is
I will throw. The Sting is my favorite movie of all time.
You do love The Sting.
Period. End of story. It is a perfect,
It is a great
wonderful, remarkable piece of filmmaking. That's when you know I'm being serious when I call it a piece of filmmaking.
Right.
That's, by the way, that's my favorite sports phrase. That's my favorite sports phrase when somebody goes the other way with the ball, just laces one. It's a great piece of hitting. That's where you really get a little bit highfalutin. You know what that was? It wasn't a great swing.
Nope.
Wasn't winning the at bat.
Yep.
It was a great piece of hitting. That's when you can really. So I respect the sport. And by the way, referring to sports as sport is the ultimate in highfalutin. If you're not English, if you're not from the UK,
like the New York Football Giants. Yeah, we get it.
No.
Just call them the Giants.
Well, because that's of a day where there was a baseball New York Giants, and you had to actually say, I'm referring to the New York Football Giants. So that's when you're saying it, even though there is no longer New York Baseball Giants, and very few people ever need to make that distinction.
Right. 'Cause it was
pardon
70
me.
years
No,
ago.
Here's the most highfalutin. The Ohio State University. Oh, thank you for making that distinction, because I was so confused with all the other Ohio State universities. Oh, now I know it wasn't an Ohio State University, or as some graduates of that school might say, Ohio State. Let's go back to the phone lines. Let's save. Do we save line 1 for the next hour, Chris?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it will apparently forward the bad pizza story that happened in Horace Grant's, if you want to call it, documentary. We'll hit that in the next hour. Somebody says they have
Rich, by
new
the way,
light on the pizza that led to Michael Jordan's flu game. That's really the food poisoning game. That really may be something else game. What, Mike?
Rich, by the way, your
Yeah.
godfather is the Godfather. So you should have nothing against the Ohio State.
No.
It could have been Goodfellas. Wasn't the Goodfellas. It was Goodfellas.
Was it? It's The Godfather is the name of the movie.
The Godfather.
Right.
It should just be Godfather.
Right.
It didn't have to be
well,
the Godfather.
as you know, by the way, while we're in this subject
Somebody
here, while we're going down this sort of road, it's not the Eagles. The band is not
exactly.
It's
and
just,
I did not know
it's just
that
Eagles
until we started talking about that. I've said
It's
the
just
Eagles forever.
Look up their greatest
I-
hits.
I
Look up
know.
any of their songs.
Eagles.
It's Eagles.
I know.
Hey, playing tonight. Eagles.
I know.
You want to talk football? The Eagles. You want to talk rock and roll? Eagles. It's not the Joe Walsh. It's Joe Walsh, and it's not the Eagles. It's Eagles. And yes, I chose him out of all of them. It's odd. I'm on a roll.
I love it.
I feel it.
I can't wait to hear this movie.
Let's go to Chris in Athens, Georgia. Has been waiting a while. What's up, Chris?
How's it going?
How are you, brother?
Thanks for taking the call.
Thanks for making it.
It's funny that you mentioned the and know the. I run a small album art museum,
Mm-hmm.
and it depends on the album. It either says Beatles or the Beatles, and the same with the Rolling Stones. Some of their album covers, it's the Rolling Stones. Other covers, it's Rolling Stones.
Go figure that.
So, I don't know the answer to that question. But I called in because the film I haven't seen,
Yes.
and I've lived in the South my whole life, is Gone with the Wind.
Wow.
Never seen it.
And you've lived in the
Yeah.
South.
Yep.
I mean, isn't that required viewing? If you live in the
You'd think.
South, you'd think, right? All
But
right.
it's a long one. And another
It's
one,
too
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh,
And I'm a big
okay.
sci-fi fan.
All right,
Never
thank you.
seen it.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate that. Kubrick, man. Kubrick. Best Kubrick movie. What do you got for me? Tell me you've never seen a Kubrick movie. That would be the end of this discussion.
He might not have.
Have you never seen
Full Metal
Jacket?
Full Metal Jacket.
No, that's late. That's late in his career, man.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
late.
I'm
Eyes wide
not
shut.
in my 40s, okay, guys?
Have you never? You're almost in your 40s, tough guy. Have you ever seen The Shining?
No.
Oh,
And you give me crap for Point Break?
Oh,
Come
Brockman.
on.
Brockman.
Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange is.
I don't like
he would
scary
never-
movies.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
I don't want any more heat from this part of the set on this subject anymore.
Rich.
Anymore.
I mean,
I haven't seen Jurassic Park. Oh, I haven't seen Point Break.
It's an age thing, bro.
It's not an age thing.
Yes, it is.
It's a taste
No,
thing. It's
that's-
a taste thing. It's a taste.
Speaking of
thing.
highfalutin.
I mean,
You know what? A Clockwork Orange is a great piece of cinema.
I mean, get out of here.
Oh,
with
it's
that.
a wonderful film.
By the way, why isn't it just Clockwork Orange? Why is it
Oh, gosh.
a Clockwork Orange?
That's the name of the book.
Well, that's the name of the university whose colors you wore once.
Oh, this is not
Harry.
appropriate on the Rich Eisen show.
Harry.
This is not appropriate. It's inappropriate. This is a terrible piece of picture.
What a piece of art this picture
That-
is.
yeah, by the way. Graham Ray Hall stinks.
Dr.
That's who I lost a
Strangelove.
bet to. Whew. Dr. Strangelove.
It's one of the. That's
Oh
one of
my gosh. What a piece of film.
I mean,
We come back right here on NBCSN, Hour 3, the Watt Brothers, and more of your phone calls. I'm with John Bradley, who plays Samwell Tarly of Game of Thrones here on the show. What's the strangest fan theory of the show?
Well, the strangest one is that Lord Varys is a mermaid or a merman. It's just because he seems to get around the place relatively quickly compared to everybody else. Like, his movements are completely inconsistent with the kind of time logic of the show. When it's the off-season and you hear people say stuff like that, you think, well, we better get the show on quick. Because these people are finding all sorts of ways to fill their time, and it's not healthy.
Do you know what happens in the end of this show?
No.
Do you have a theory as to what happens at the end of this show?
I have my theories.
What is it?
I can't tell you.
Oh, come on.
Here's the thing about theories, and this is why I'm not going to give you my theory today. Theories can go one of two ways. Either I'm wrong, in which case there's documented evidence of me being wrong that you can then cut back to in 2 years' time and say, look how wrong this guy was.
But what if we promise not to do that?
I don't trust. I don't trust anybody these days when it comes to Game of Thrones.
Okay, what's the order?
Or I'm right, and I've ruined it. You really can't win with that stuff.
Okay.
Because then the exact same piece of footage is going to be unearthed, and John Bradley spoilt the whole show 2 years ago.
And everyone will accuse you of having actually
Everybody
known,
would
even
accuse
though
me-
you say you do not know what has happened.
Everybody would have accused me of knowing all along, which I don't. And it's either going to be a lucky guess or I'm wrong.
The one thing you did spoil is Varys is not a fish man.
That's what I
or
mean.
Fish
You see,
person. You have not. We could sit.
I've ridiculed that theory now, live, on Rich Eisen. That could be right, and that could be right. Yeah, look how wrong John Bradley was about the Varys mermaid.
Gospel Live. This is the Rich Eisen Show.
Strikingly good-looking bald man.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
That is not a Photoshop picture of Tom Brady in a Tampa Bay Buccaneers helmet.
Look at that.
Download and podcast at richeisenshow.com.
You know what I really enjoy, Rich? Your hair in the last ad.
Earlier on the show, ESPN College Game Day host Rece Davis, Lions head coach Matt Patricia. Coming up, host of the new game show Fox's Ultimate Tag, the Watt Brothers. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Hour number 3 and final hour of the Rich Eisen Show here live from Los Angeles, California on a Wednesday right in the middle of the month of May, a month in which we saw the return of live sports in NASCAR and a little bit of golf on our friends right here on NBC. Last weekend, we've got Tiger and Phil and Peyton and Tom, guys who, as you know, if you refer to just the first names, it's a rarefied air to do that sort of thing. That's coming up this weekend. And we're hoping June, there's more sports returning. And I'm assuming by June, the ripple effect of The Last Dance will be gone by then. But you never know. More news stories could crop up, including what somebody's just calling in who wants to pass along to us. About the famed pizza. We'll get to that in a second. Your phone calls. Phone lines are lit. Chris Brockman and Mike Del Tufo and I have been having a great conversation based on the way yesterday's show ended with me revealing I've never seen the film Point Break and have never seen Roadhouse from beginning to end. Chris, and people have been calling in talking about the movie that they've never seen, that they're embarrassed to say that they've never seen. We had Matt Patricia of the Lions on last hour. I even asked him. He said that he's a diehard fan of the Star Wars films when he was a kid. He used to have the popcorn in the front row of the movie theater. But I've never been a front row guy in a movie theater. Never.
No.
I can't do it. I couldn't do it. I know.
I only did one time, and that's because those were the only seats available.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But he said he was a front row and popcorn and everything. And so maybe that's why he's so good at watching all 22, because it's different from his usual perspective of being right up front. He likes to see all 22. But he said that he's never seen any of the new Star Wars, that he's waiting because he knows he needs to binge watch it straight through where nobody bothers him. And clearly he's got other film that he watches. So it was fun chatting with him, and the phone lines are all lit. We'll take your calls here on the Rich Eisen Show shortly on that subject and more. The Watt Brothers are going to join us right in the middle of this hour. JJ, TJ, and Derek Watt, co-hosts of Fox's Ultimate Tag that airs tonight after The Masked Singer is revealed. Big stuff in my household.
Who do you guys or your kids think is going to win?
Obama.
I mean, it's like unbelievable.
Honestly, it's Beyonce. They all
Frank
think
Sinatra.
it's oh my God.
I think you need to up the bounty from 100 to 1,000 because you know it's never going to happen.
They might think it's Michael Jordan. Who knows? They think it's absolutely the most famous people. And then with all due respect to the gentleman who called in last week because he was kind enough to call in, these guys, it's Barry Zito. And they're like,
crickets.
Honestly, they don't remember. They weren't alive when Barry Zito won a World Series. One of them was one.
I was just going to say it'd be hard for them to know who Barry Zito is.
So I hope it's an Obama tonight. That means I'm $300 out because is it a $100 bounty in my household? A fresh $100 bill to each of my children.
I would literally be
any Obama. Any Obama.
Even the daughters.
They think it's LeBron James. Anytime that it's a tall, somebody's tall, like Barry Zito is a tall masked singer. They thought it was LeBron. So you ask who it is. That's why I'd say that I wasn't joking. They really think it's one of them has got to be Obama because it's their favorite show and the whole world's watching it. And they are, I told you, I'll repeat it here. Wherever you are tonight at midnight Eastern, or it will be 9 o'clock Pacific here tonight when Ultimate Tag goes on the air, what you will hear if you're quiet will be the battle, or we hope there isn't one. On one side, me and my wife, me and Suze. On the other side, my 3 children, insisting they have to stay up to watch Ultimate Tag. And we're like, no, you stayed up to watch The Voice till 10 o'clock last 2 nights. You've watched The Masked Singer. No. Let's DVR Ultimate Tag. So, out of respect, I won't come on the air Thursday and tell you who won the first round of Ultimate Tag, assuming there is a round. I don't know. I talked about it with JJ, TJ, and Derek. The reason why I'm using the past tense, even though the interview is coming up in 15 minutes' time, is I Zoomed with them from stage one. Of my home office, stage one. Stage one is reopened. Well, I mean, it's
never been closed.
I Zoomed with them on Monday. So there's lots to talk about with them. And I do hit on I'll tell you the various subjects I hit on with them. The football subjects I hit on with them. One with JJ, DeAndre Hopkins being traded. Derek Watt and TJ are teammates in Pittsburgh. I asked them about when they think that they're going to be back practicing in person, even though they're not experts on the virus. What are they being told? And I asked TJ if he's ever gotten an envelope.
You did?
Uh-huh. I went in the envelope direction.
Okay.
Dropped a little James Harrison with TJ.
All right.
Well,
I like
mean,
that.
he's the, along with Bud Dupree, prime pass rusher. You could say the prime pass rusher for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Absolutely. Okay.
I think you can guess what his answer was, but I still went in that direction.
But I'm sure it's still funny to see his reaction.
Oh, and just the three of them, just their interactions, it's priceless, spectacular. It's great. It's coming up. Don't miss it. So, and again, I know some of them on our wormhole 454s are saying, the Last Dance was over. Why do you keep talking about it? Well, because people keep talking about it. There were exit interviews all over the place. And as did I not tell you, Christopher Brockman? Did I not tell you the conversation coming off the Last Dance will be a LeBron-centric conversation because he's the current GOAT, and is he in Jordan's class? Who's the one who took the bait earlier today? One of your all-time favorites.
My guy, Paul
I said
Pierce.
During the commercial break in the middle of hour number 2, Christopher, why is Paul Pierce trending? He says LeBron's not even a top 5 player of all time.
I haven't listened to the whole quote, but the headline.
I don't even want to know who he thinks is in his top 5. It's insignificant. How is LeBron James not a top 5 player of all time?
He was on some ESPN countdown.
Oh, gosh. All right.
With Jay Williams.
Okay.
Maria Taylor and Jalen Rose.
Come on. He's going to wind up beating Kareem for most all-time points scored unless COVID-19 ruins the rest of his career.
I think eventually he'll be the all-time leading scorer, yeah.
What about assists? Isn't he in
stand by.
Isn't he in the category of isn't he close in other categories too?
He's been playing for a long time.
Oh my
Since
gosh.
17, so
crazy. And then Horace Grant went on a radio show. All right, ESPN 1000 in
LeBron
Chicago.
James 8th all-time.
All right, I mean he's going to be top 5 in pretty much everything. He's not top 5 all time. Okay.
I know that seems silly.
He's been quarantined too long. He's going crazy. I mean, he's probably talking to his basketball, calling it Wilson, which they do now call it again, right?
In a couple years,
okay,
they're moving
very
into
good.
Wilson.
Yeah. Okay. So Horace Grant was on ESPN 1000 in Chicago, and man, did he unload. He's pissed off because Jordan thinks he was the one who told Sam Smith everything for that Jordan Rules book. And this is what Horace Grant had to say.
Michael says, oh, yeah, Horace was the leak. He's the one that went to Sam Smith and gave him all that stuff for the Jordan Rules. The floor is yours. How do you respond to that?
As I stated to everybody, that is a downright, outright, completely lie. Lie. And as I stated, if MJ had a grudge with me, let's settle it like, man, let's talk about it, or we can settle it another way. But yet and still, he goes out and put this lie out that I was the source behind it. I would never put anything personal out there.
What does that mean, settle it another way? Fisticuffs? Is that what that means?
Take it outside.
Steel cage?
I think.
And then he went all in. This is the soundbite that's getting the most run.
When that so-called documentary is about one person, basically, and he has the last word on what's going to be put out there, it's not a documentary. It's his narrative of what happened in the last quote-unquote dance. That's not a documentary because a whole bunch of things was cut out. edited out. That's why I call it a so-called documentary.
So-called documentary.
Yeah, I've seen people calling it the last propaganda.
Oh my gosh!
On
last
Twitter,
propaganda.
Yeah. I mean,
my so-called documentary was a great show on the CW, wasn't it? Back in the day.
Like Claire Danes?
Maybe. So that was Horace Grant.
Yeah, I mean.
And if something comes out that wasn't covered in The Last Dance, some personal stuff that wasn't covered in The Last Dance, oh, baby. You think the news cycle's over? Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. Has Scottie Pippen had his exit interview on any of the ESPN shows?
I have not seen him anywhere.
Because the one thing I would want to ask Scottie Pippen, you really wouldn't redo sitting on the bench with 1.4 seconds against the Knicks to go, knowing now Kukoc made the shot. Because if Kukoc had missed, Pippen could have gone full Red Auerbach.
Sure. Hey.
Hands up.
Should have called my number.
Cigar, feet up. You called the wrong play, Phil.
Should have called 33.
Knowing Kukoc made the shot. Now, you now have that 20/20 hindsight. You still wouldn't change that.
And you could have just been a decoy in the corner.
And also, Jerry Reinsdorf says you would never have signed for one more year and run it back. Never. And
Pippen,
Jordan even admit, right, this is what I'd ask Pippen.
Yeah.
Jerry Reinsdorf said you never would have signed for another one more year deal, and Jordan thinks that you would have needed some convincing. Would you have run it back one more time? Everybody wants to have these exit interviews. I know I do. And then there's the question about the pizza back in the day. All right? Guy goes on a local radio show in Salt Lake City and says, I was the guy who made it, delivered it. I worked for Pizza Hut. And then we had Otto from Park City, Utah, saying, I was a gourmet chef back then. I still have businesses there now. Not a shot that a Pizza Hut was open in the middle of June. And there was another establishment that we know made the pizza for him and sent it to him. And it wasn't purposely poisoned, but could have been that. We found ourselves in the middle of that story. Chris in Park City, Utah. We got a lot of fans in Park City, Utah. You got something else for us, Chris?
Am I on with you?
You are indeed.
Hi. First off, very nice to talk with you guys. I'm a big fan. I've been watching you since you came on. Also a big fan of Dan Patrick. 5'7", 180, strong.
Bing, bing. Very good.
So, yeah, it was a place called Lakota.
Yes.
Was the name of the restaurant.
That's what Otto said yesterday, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, Otto and I worked together at a sushi bar across the street that doesn't exist anymore either, called Mikado. Basically, all the places in this story in Park City don't exist anymore. Pizza Hut's gone. Lakota's gone.
Okay.
Mikado's gone.
And so, what do you got anything to add on that, or you just?
Oh yeah. So sure. So here's the deal. I was there that night. I don't remember if I was working, but I was there that night, and our owner was a guy. I don't want to say his name. I hope that's cool.
Sure.
He had this big plan because Jim Lampley was one of his partners that he thought he could get in the door if he delivered food. And they called over late night, and they made him a couple pizzas. And just to let you know, the food wasn't very good at this place. So I'm not saying that it made him sick, but it made a lot of people sick, and I didn't really like to eat there, and I was one of the employees. So there you go.
My gosh! So if you're saying, Chris, it's par for the course that the food might not have been up to snuff that Jordan received that night.
Yeah, I am saying that. Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
Chris, thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Well, hang on one second, though. Can I say one thing else about your movie thing?
Okay, yeah, please.
So here's the deal with your movie thing. I have two that I'm not embarrassed that I haven't seen. I have two that I'm proud I've never seen.
Oh, you're going in a different direction. Okay, what do you got?
I got the most popular, the most profitable movie of all time. Titanic. I've never seen Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know how it ends. And the other thing is Avatar. I've never made it all the way through
You
Avatar.
and James Cameron. You don't like
Sorry,
James Cameron movies. You don't like James Cameron movies. Is it if that's what it is?
So I guess that's maybe a thing. But I love the Terminator and all that stuff. So,
Okay. All right. Thanks very much, Chris. Appreciate it. So basically, we've now had two people say there was an establishment in Park City that if there was only Yelp back in 1997,
probably would not have ordered.
Jordan would have gone hungry for the night. He would have rummaged the mini bar.
Chips.
And he would have scored. And he would have scored what? 45 instead of 38, 37 in 44 minutes. He would have played. He would have played all 48 instead. He would have played. It just all it did was cost him 4 minutes played.
A couple points.
And a couple points. A bucket here, a bucket there. All right, if you're on hold, stay on hold. The Watt brothers. This is going to be a fun conversation with JJ, TJ, and Derek back next on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's take the phone call of Mark in Minnesota. Mark's been hanging on for some time. What's up, Mark? You're on the Rich Eisen Show.
Hello?
Yes, you're on, sir. What's on? What's on your mind?
I want to know your thoughts on NASCAR coming back.
I'm excited. We haven't heard anything yet, right, Chris? There's been nothing other
I've
than
not heard anything yet.
Charlotte's still going, right? We're going to go. Well, actually, they have another race in Darlington, don't they? They've got a race on the 20th. Okay.
Hey.
Hello? You there?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, they're supposed to be today, but it's been raining all week.
Okay. Well, we'll figure that out.
I think it's postponed today.
Oh, has it been postponed? Oh, the rain got him, huh?
The rain, yeah.
All right, so they'll move on to Charlotte. I'm rooting for him, Mark. I'm rooting for him. I can't wait to see more of it. And I hope, and thank you for the call, man. I hope that everybody involved is healthy and that the NFL, the NBA, and MLB can call him up and say, you had a ton of logistics, man, and women. You had a ton of logistics, and you handled it how? What was your testing process? What was your point-of-care testing? What was your protocol here? What was your protocol there? Walk us through what you found that you needed to do the first time that you didn't do the first time, that you're going to do the second time, and so on and so forth. The Xfinity race is going to race Thursday.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Keep going. Keep going. As long as everybody can do it and they're healthy. Good Lord, they've got to be healthy. Please. That's my thoughts on NASCAR. Again, I'm more interested in how it goes down than who wins, to be very honest with you. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, just the circumstances, the times that we're in right now.
It's safe. It's safe.
Yeah, it's all important for every sport going forward.
Well, due respect to Kevin, Harvick.
Yeah, he won the race.
We're
He's
very happy for
still
him.
got to go out there and win, of course, but everything else is
all
even
right.
more
Now, I am
amplified.
going to text Don Bowie.
Okay.
The name of the film that I have not seen yet, and I'm wondering if he's going to respond. This is the one because he wants to get some sort of visuals prepared for when I reveal it later on.
I posted the video of Rece talking about
you just
Lebowski.
received it? You just received it? He says, I'm not mad at you. I'm just embarrassed for you.
Ooh. So you'd be embarrassed. We got to think about this, Brockman.
Embarrassed.
I mean, I know that I have movie holes.
I'm
but,
embarrassed for
come on.
Shawshank.
Well, you haven't. Don't save it because I haven't asked you on our NBC show.
I have a couple.
Save it. Daryl Morey responded to Reese's post.
Who did?
Daryl Morey.
Reese's post about what?
I
What did
posted
Reese
the
post?
video of Reese saying he's never seen Lebowski, and Daryl Morey just responded with a GIF.
So guess who's out there watching? We always talk about my wife chiming in.
Oh,
Guess who's out there watching the Rich Eisen Show? The very funny and talented Sarah Tiana. Hello, Sarah. The mother of your child.
I thought she was on the
thought
phone.
she was on the phone when you said that.
No.
Me and Chris
I
looked
just
at each
saw
other.
her
We
tweet.
got like, oh my God.
I saw her tweet saying, well, at Rich Eisen, I might have to leave at Chris Brockman after finding out that he's never seen Kubrick movies. Do you know a good lawyer? And then you responded, I've seen Full Metal Jacket and parts of Eyes Wide Shut. They all look kind of dumb. TBH. What does that mean, TBH?
I get that.
To be honest.
To be honest.
I get that.
Then she wrote back, hey, Chris, You've Got Mail, which is your favorite movie, from my attorney. Fantastic.
I love Sarah.
Sarah knows how to ride a line.
And by the way, if she wants to call in and defend herself, let her tell you the story about the first time we watched The Fugitive together.
I mean, the phone lines are all lit right now.
I get the
okay?
Kubrick dislike. His movies are very. You have to like that,
dude. Stop.
I love him.
Stop.
I love.
Please stop. Please just be quiet because you're just digging yourself a bigger hole. And we've got the Watt brothers all set. This is a fun conversation with the brothers Watt, who've got a big premiere on Fox tonight. I Zoomed with them on Monday. Here's the contents of this fun conversation.
Okay, now let's welcome to the Rich Eisen Show the brothers Watt, JJ, TJ, and Derek Watt, whose new show will be on Fox this Wednesday night at 9 Eastern Time. Ultimate Tag, premiering on the big Fox after the huge Masked Singer finale that my kids are going to be glued to. So they're already going to be glued to the Watt brothers. Good to see you guys. How you doing?
Doing great. Thank you very much for having us, Rich.
You got it. All right. First questions first. This is the most burning question I have. We have JJ, TJ, and Derek. Your middle name is, if I'm not mistaken, John. Why are you not DJ Watt? Why is that?
Yeah, so this one's been a big topic. I've noticed on Twitter quite often. I just go by Derek. I think I was maybe 4 or 5, and I just one day came home, told my mom, I just want to be just Derek.
Okay.
And so they started calling me just Derek, like just Derek, to kind of really sink it home that I was going to be different. And the main reasons I feel like, I was a kid. I didn't really love DJ Tanner from Full House, and I got DW from Arthur. So I was like, let me just be just Derek. And so that's kind of started ever since a young age.
DJ, you seem to have some commentary on this.
I mean, he explained that forever. It's DJ Tanner, Full House. He didn't want to be called DJ because DJ is a girl, so he went by Derek, and that's the story.
Is that it? Okay.
It was all leading up to the Subway commercials of 2019. So that was the whole reason. We just planned it for 20 years.
Yeah. So you had some. You're a visionary, Derek. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Just trying to help out the family.
Okay.
Give opportunities down the road.
Okay, and we're on the radio right now as well on our show, on our simulcast. So I need to describe what's going on right now. TJ, you look like you're in your kitchen. Looks like we see a very nice refrigerator and some cabinetry behind you, right?
Yep.
Derek, what do we call what's behind you right now? What do we call that?
We call it a beautiful decorative.
What is that?
The decorative vase with some bamboo and some floral arrangement inside of it. Hey, it's not mine, but it's in the house. My wife kind of likes to decorate, and it's here. So,
But to explain to the radio viewers, if you took that bamboo flower away, it would look like you were in a hostage situation, like with the room at Trip.
Sorry, I have a gray wall. Yes, the wall is not fully decorated. No, I'm not in my high quality office.
And of course, JJ, you've got the Ultimate Flex, which is the Walter Payton Man of the Year award that you've got there. Looks like you have some very nice photographs. What do we have in between the family photographs that you have on the mantle?
I think TJ could explain it really well what those 3 things are.
What are they, TJ?
They look like some trophies for Defensive Player of the Year there, and he lets me know about it.
But TJ, I mean, you're circling around that, right? You're beginning to zero in on something like that, wouldn't you say?
I am, but close is just not damn good enough. So I'm gonna have to earn some of my own bragging rights and get one of those. But for now, JJ can have that throne. He's got 3 of them, so it's impressive.
Okay. And then those are some photographs, some family photographs. You're a family man. JJ, for me, I've got my wife and a picture of me and my wife, some kids, books that I haven't read.
Favorite book?
Say it again?
Favorite book?
Oh, gosh. It's called Total Access by Rich Eisen.
Plug.
This is definitely my favorite book. It's in paperback, which I think.
Where is it available?
Everywhere books are sold, JJ. Everywhere books are sold. There it is. And I happen to have a copy handy. Just go figure that right here in my house. And this is a photograph of me going out at Michigan Stadium back in the day, a few years ago. And I bring that up, not fully aware what everybody's record was against Michigan at the University of Wisconsin. I'm not fully aware of that. Anyone?
Never played him in my career.
Okay.
Never once played him.
That's just Derek. What about you, TJ?
0 for 1. I think it was just once. 0 for 1.
JJ?
1-0 for me.
Well, actually,
Shoelace was the quarterback.
JJ, you're really 2-0 because I'm a man of my word. Every time I was going to interview you on the Rich Eisen show, I was going to have this mug that's normally stationed in studio, but I brought it home just for the occasion. TJ,
what's it filled with?
It's my tears, actually. It's filled with my tears. I don't know if you've seen this mug, guys. It's got the final score of this past year's debacle. And it says, "This cup holds Rich Eisen's tears," right there.
I respect it. Thank you for bringing it home to the office. It means a lot.
And I appreciate you saying that. And that was in case you were, all three of you, very upset with the password for this Zoom that I purposely put in there. You wanted to, TJ, you want to bring that home? What for everybody at home, what the password was for this Zoom?
It was Michigan.
That's right.
Just Michigan. And I wanted to puke.
So if anybody wants to break into a Rich Eisen Zoom call, password's Michigan.
This was a one-time opportunity since I'm going to have all three of you together. I've got JJ Watt, Derek Watt, TJ Watt, all sheltered in place. How did this all come about with Ultimate Tag, guys, for you to, I imagine when you're given an opportunity that the three of you could all do a TV show together, you jumped at it, but I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, this opportunity came to me a couple of years ago, and they said that they had an opportunity for me to host and executive produce a show called Ultimate Tag. And really the first thought that came to my mind was it would be perfect opportunity for my brothers and I to work together. I mean, we played tag in the backyard growing up as kids. We have this rapport where we kind of rip on each other a little bit, but we also bring the best out of each other. And I think that really came together in hosting the show. So it turned out to be a lot of fun, and we got to spend a ton of time together while we filmed it, which was really enjoyable.
TJ?
Yeah, like you said, I think the coolest part for us was that, for Derek and I, was that JJ even thought to include us into this show. And when he brought the idea of us hosting a game show or a competition show, Derek and I at first, I know I was nervous because I've never done anything to this magnitude. And to be able to commentate and spectate a truly once-in-a-lifetime experience with the two of my brothers in Ultimate Tag, like I said, JJ, we watched that growing up. We did tag growing up, and it's something that everybody can relate to. And we all had our tough times in being hosts, and me especially. I wasn't very good at reading off the teleprompter, and if it wasn't for these two to get me out of my own head, I don't know if I would have been able to finish the show.
What do you mean?
I mean, have you ever tried reading off a teleprompter with cameras and people all around?
TJ, he literally hosts his own television show. What are you doing?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking to the viewers, folks.
Yeah, I mean, TJ, if they had Defensive Player of the Year awards for, reading teleprompter, I'd have millions of them behind you right now, sort of like your brother. But so you had some, there were some encroachment, offsides, neutral zone infractions. I mean, is that basically what you had?
All of the above. I think every rule was broken in the book. And like I said, if it wasn't for JJ and Derek, I mean, JJ made it hard because he was smashing out of the park like he's done in every single day of his life. And Derek was all right. I mean, just all right. But I think at the end, from where we started, where we ended, was night and day.
Derek?
Yeah, he had his struggles. He had a very long, drawn-out answer there, but he struggled with the teleprompter. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, it was a cool opportunity for TJ and I. We grew. Like I said, we didn't know. We had never done anything like that in our lives, so it was a very cool opportunity for us. Started out rocky, and we ended up, I think, coming out much better at the end, and we would love an opportunity for another crack at it in season 2.
So which one, JJ, if you had to award most improved player to one of your brothers from the beginning of shooting to the end, who would?
That's not fair.
I mean, most improved definitely
it has to be TJ.
Yeah, I mean, but both of them, like for an older brother, it was a lot of fun to watch them both grow, and they really were legitimately good hosts by the end of the show. But day one of filming was a rehearsal day, and it was, I've been talking to the producers this whole time because I'm an executive producer on the show. I was telling them, don't worry, my brother's got this. My brother's got this. We're going to be great. And we went in on the very first day to practice, and we get in front of the teleprompter, and TJ starts to read. And for about 20 minutes, we kind of went through these struggles. And the whole time, the executive producers are looking over at me like, man, you said we got this. Like, you said this was going to be all right. This isn't looking good. and to his credit, he came back on day 2 and just started to get much better and better. But day 1, we did have a little bit of a rocky start.
JJ just kept saying, when the lights come on, they'll be good. And I was like, I hope so. I hope I figure this out.
How about this? Maybe you, TJ, you can be most improved player, and Derek, you could be comeback player. Of hosting. We could split these awards, and we could figure that whole thing out. And so, who are the people who are running around? Like, these are just regular, normal, everyday people that you would just say, who wants to run around and play tag on Fox with the Watt brothers kind of being the judges here? Is that what it is?
So the taggers, our professional taggers, are legitimately some of the best athletes in the world. They're parkour background for the most part. One of them is the fastest parkour athlete in the world right now, I believe. Just some truly phenomenal athletes, and you'll see. I mean, just by looking at them, you can tell they take care of their bodies. They just train super hard, and they do some incredible things. And the competitors are some everyday people that wanted to compete, and some of them also have tremendous backgrounds, former athletes themselves growing up. Some were Olympic athletes. And just kind of people that wanted to give it a shot. And we've got kind of the wide range of athletes, and it was cool to hear their stories and see them compete. And it got intense there was a grand prize at the end, but it was mainly for pride, and they wanted to win and compete against those taggers as well as the other competitors.
Rich, if you're asking if you can compete at some point in the future, I think we could possibly make that happen for you.
Well, here's the deal, JJ. You've seen my straight line speed. Every year. Okay. I'm not sure. I guess I can work on my side to side. I can kind of work on that.
Are you more confident or less confident in your lateral agility?
I think my lateral agility can be worked on, and I think I could. Look, I've been running from people my entire life, so I just wondered, did I hear the words professional taggers? Did I hear those words? Like, there's such a thing where you can be
greatest job in the world? Professional taggers.
What is that? I guess you guys are technically, rushing the passer. You're professional.
We have a team of 12. So, like, picture American Gladiators back in the day, where you have like Nitro, you have like a Turbo. Right. We have our team of professional taggers, and they each have their own personality and their own kind of mantra that they built. Mm-hmm. And so every week on the show, they're the ones that you have to get by if you want to win the prize. So, like Derek said, some of them are parkour, some of them are CrossFit athletes, some of them are former college athletes, and they all take a ton of pride in protecting the ultimate tag arena. So it's a lot of fun to watch them. And like I said, they have personalities, and some of them are legitimately psychotic.
Well, I'm going to be locked in. My kids are fired up about the Masked Singer finale. Again, that's Wednesday night, and you guys are right on. I mean, talk about a great time slot for you to come out of the box. The Masked Singer.
Or is it number one show on television, I believe, at the time? So we're looking forward to capitalizing on that.
By the way, I appreciate using capitalizing. That's a big pressure. You got to hold time slots. That's basically, this is what you guys have to do.
Our first option was the slot following the Rich Eisen show. So option 2, they said you could follow number one show on TV. So we
know exactly what to say to the host, man. You're the savvy veteran of this brother group. That's for damn sure. Do I get like one legitimate football question to ask each of you? Can I do that sort of thing?
Go ahead.
Sure. All right. First things first, JJ, the trading away of DeAndre Hopkins, did that shock you? Did you see it coming?
Yeah, I think just like everybody, it definitely catches your eye. It shocks you a little bit. But, the one thing people ask me, what are your feelings on this? How do you feel? And I think a lot of people want me to be angry about it or whatever it is. And the thing that I always tell people is this: Hop, to me, has the best hands in the game. He's one of the best receivers in the game. Am I going to miss watching Hop make circus catches for us and make huge plays and score touchdowns? Absolutely. But you also have to remember that there are 2 players coming to my team in this trade, and to disrespect them by saying, I wish we wouldn't have done this. I have to go into this locker room every day, and these guys are my teammates, and I'm looking forward to working with them as well. So as a player, it's a very fine line. You have to walk in trade situations and talking about things like that. But Hop is, without a doubt, one of the best players in the game. It's always tough to lose a guy like that. But at the same time, we also have guys coming in that I'm looking forward to working with. And at the end of the day, it's up to the GM, the coach, and the owners to make those types of decisions, and then they have to live with those consequences as well.
And in terms of working, Derek, again, everybody looks at players and coaches and everybody in sports as if they're, got the cure to COVID-19. Have you been any indication when you might physically be able to get into a spot anywhere for you?
Yeah, so no real indications, honestly, right now. We're doing our virtual meetings. Every Monday we have a team meeting on Zoom, and then we break off in our meetings, and Coach Tomlin touches base on that, just kind of keeping us updated to the latest that he knows. But honestly, I don't think until pretty much the whole country kind of gets on board where all 32 teams can go into their facilities, or at least find a facility to then go work out at, is trying to keep the competitive advantage where everybody's on the same playing field. So really it's kind of up in the air until things get under control. And right now it's just kind of, TJ said earlier, just kind of getting ready, staying ready so you don't have to get ready. Just kind of
what do you mean?
Staying ready so you don't have to get ready. Just kind of staying on top of your things. So whenever they say, let's go, we're ready to go.
Did we just hear your prompter reading skills in real time? Did that just happen?
No, I wasn't reading anything. I'm just
coming off
there.
As I saw the reaction of your brothers right there start laughing at you not getting the line right properly, but
Good recovery.
I could see that. Again, comeback player of the year right there, Derek Watt. And TJ, look, it was a wild subject that came out of the blue with James Harrison last week. Your coach allegedly giving him an envelope 10 years ago after he got fined for a hit on a player in James Harrison. Have you seen Tomlin do anything like that in your time there?
I have not. And I like I said, I wasn't even anything associated with the organization 10 years ago. But no, Coach Tomlin's a stand-up guy. He's always been very well to me and the whole team. And the number one thing that I love about him is his transparency. He treats everybody fairly, and he's just a great player's coach, but I do not see him doing anything like that, and I have not, and I don't think I don't know from off firsthand, but I don't see any of that happen.
No, I know that seems to be totally out of character for Mike Tomlin.
Yes, yeah. I mean, he has total control of the whole team, and is a great leader, and always knows what to say and what to do, and every situation, but I do not see anything like this happening with him.
All right, that ends the legitimate NFL questions portion of this interview. Before I let you guys go off to, again, the big premiere Wednesday night on Fox, 9 Eastern time after the Masked Singer finale, Ultimate Tag. Earlier on Wednesday, JJ, NBC announced that NBC SN is going to start re-airing Saturday Night Live hosting gigs by athletes. This is true, by the way. Yours is going to air next Tuesday on NBC SN. Brady and Peyton Manning's are going to be that night as well. Derek and TJ, how would you rate your brother's Saturday Night Live hosting gig? What do you think was his best sketch that we're going to see next Tuesday night right here on NBC SN? TJ, what do you think?
Well, I mean, it was kind of awkward to watch the premiere because we were with my grandma, and there was a lot of things that need to be censored in that whole program. But I thought, I mean, the whole off was funny. The parents talking to their kid was funny. Had the pizza delivery guy. I mean, I'm just trying to think of more. I can't remember all of them, but I think overall it was a really cool opportunity for JJ to show everybody his funny side, and we get to see it on a daily basis. But for him to be able to do something different and to smash it out of the park, I mean, like you said, I had a tough time with the teleprompter and doing TV, but he got to do it live on a huge stage, and I think he did an absolutely amazing job. And it was cool to see a small kid from Pewaukee that you grew up with on the biggest stage on TV.
You're tearing up, JJ? Is it tearing up right
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, man. You thought I did a good job? Oh,
Yeah, you should try telling me that sometime, all right?
You never told me that before.
There you go. We're just. I feel like this is like a group hug. Derek, were you there too when for the group Watt?
I was there. Yes. I was there.
What happened with Grandma? What happened?
No, so we were watching with a big group. My parents, my grandma, and I don't think Grandma knew what she was getting into. I don't think it was quite the show she was expecting. So yeah, some of the innuendos, just some of the skits were a little bit raunchy, you might say, a little bit.
She and JJ differently, yes.
Yeah, she was not holding back. She was like, "Wow, JJ, I am shocked." She was disappointed at a few of the skits. I think, like I said, JJ might have lost a few brownie points with Grandma.
Oh boy. But it was worth every penny, right? It was worth every single moment for you, I imagine.
Oh, it was a blast. I mean, it was a great time. Saturday Night Live is literally one of the most iconic shows on television. And so just to have that opportunity to work with Lorne Michaels, to be on the set, to be out there with the people, I mean, it was really something that I've had big dreams before in my life, and that's not something that never even came into my realm of possibility. So the chance to do that was special, and I really enjoyed every single second of it. The production is unbelievable what those people do every week to put on such a great show.
Well, just make sure that Grandma, what's Grandma's name? I'm sorry, I don't want to keep referring to her.
Chris. Yeah.
Okay. Make sure that between 10 and 11 p.m. Eastern time next Tuesday night that she is not watching NBCSN. Okay? We don't need
Sounds good. I'll also send her an extra bouquet of flowers here in the next couple of days. I didn't realize it was as bad as these two are making it seem.
Oh, sorry for breaking it to you.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Okay, well, look, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for typing in the word Michigan to get into this Zoom room. It means a lot to me. And good luck with Ultimate Tag premiering again on Fox, 9 Eastern time with you guys, TJ and JJ and Derek. I hope it's as successful as possible, that we can get stuff on your wall. And potentially a little bit more of an arrangement back there than the Willows or whatever you got going on there. And with all due respect to whoever is in charge of your arrangements in your house, I'm only wishing the success that you need. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rich. We appreciate it.
I don't really think you mean awesome, Derek, but I'll good. And I appreciate you guys are first rate, first class. Thanks for doing this, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rich. Wisconsin.
Oh, my gosh. That's JJ Watt, TJ Watt, and Derek Watt right here on The Rich Eisen Show.
I'm very proud of using the password for the Zoom room as a trolling device.
Well done.
Well done.
I mean, that's the only way you're going to win that.
I just even I wasn't there for the reaction, just for them to say, "What's the password?" Oh God, just that moment. I just the fact that I could create that moment. Okay. When we come back, we empty the phone banks. A lot of people want to share the movie that they have not seen in their lives that would be embarrassing for them to admit. And I have one big one.
I mean, I can't wait for this.
That's how we roll into our final segment on this Wednesday. I mean, I don't want to reveal too much right here. Let's just take the first one at the top, our friend in Vegas. Dan in Vegas. You there, Dan?
I'm here, brother.
Okay, if you tell me The Godfather and you live in Vegas, I will be so upset.
No, it's not The Godfather.
Okay, good.
And let me say that I appreciate what you guys do, and
thank you.
You guys do a great job.
I appreciate you saying that, man.
Be good, man.
Hopefully you are healthy and happy wherever you are. And
Yes, I am, sir, and thank you very much.
What's on your mind?
That.
What do you got?
It's Sling Blade.
Sling Blade. Okay, I gotta be honest. That's okay.
It's okay. It's okay that you haven't seen it. That's not like an all-time classic.
I mean, it is an Academy Award winner of one of our friends on the show here. And
I had a lot of friends tell me about it, and I never saw it, put it off, would see it, listed and never watch it. But I thought and I'm going to admit I finally did see it, of course.
Okay.
But I thought it was a very good movie.
Well, Billy Bob Thornton, I mean, that's where he burst on the scene, man. I mean, and that's the guy. Thanks for the call, Dan, and thanks for saying what you said. That's not that
That's not that bad.
Wait, didn't Billy Bob tell us he wrote that movie on a yellow legal pad?
He did tell us that.
He did, right?
He wrote it on.
He writes all of his
Now,
screenplays
you guys,
on
neither
Legal
one
Play.
of you have seen the movie that I think is his best, One
What?
False Move.
I haven't seen it.
I have not seen that either.
Is an amazing movie.
But by the way,
Early
if
Billy
you want to
Bob?
talk about
Early
you want to
Billy
talk
Bob.
about great Coen brothers.
We watched that in film school.
When we talked about great Coen brothers movies, mentioned Fargo. I mentioned the television version of Fargo. Billy Bob Thornton in the first television season of Fargo,
dude,
is out of this world. Didn't he win it? I think he won an Emmy.
Lorne
and
Malvo.
He was out of this world.
He won the Globe for Fargo.
And did he win the Emmy for it too? I think he won both.
Yes. Nope. Nominated.
Nominated. Okay, there it is. There's the exchange.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, let's bring this to the NBC audience.
I mean, I get roasted enough at home. We got to bring that to work too.
Dude, who are you talking to?
I mean,
all right, man.
Who are you talking
I
to?
had to state my case.
Del Tufo's the only one who goes home and he does whatever he wants whenever he wants.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. With all of his Olafs. Okay, we come to a stirring conclusion on this Wednesday's program with most of your phone calls that's still to go here. The athletic director of The Ohio State University, Gene Smith, said, I guess during that interview with our friends at the Watts, that Gene Smith said that there is a plan to possibly play games in the Horseshoe this year in front of 20 to 30,000 fans.
Interesting.
Wow.
Which, you know, the Horseshoe is, what is it, 90,000 plus, 100,000?
Yeah. Like you have 100, almost.
Well, you got over 100.
100, yeah.
So they would have to basically say, and man, there'd have to be some serious security guard action to make sure that you are staying as apart. That's it.
Yeah.
Well,
or you're masked in the crowd.
Like,
you could put like whatever you want.
Yeah, like little tape.
You've seen what's happening here on the beaches here in Southern California finally opened up, and people
Yellow
are
tape, nobody cares.
saying no
one cares.
sunbathing, and people are showing up in droves with no masks, like
Exactly.
and
With
doing whatever the hell they
coolers and
want to do.
everything,
Yep.
So you could sit here and say, "Come on into the Horseshoe, everybody."
Few brewskis.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden
done.
you're closer than 6 feet apart.
Ohio Stadium, 104,944 capacity.
In a Horseshoe.
Oof.
Man, I'm just knocking on wood. I hope all of this stuff is possible. As we're sitting here in the middle of May, it seems a bit far-fetched.
Hold up.
844-204-RICH, number to dial. Again, based on the fact that I admitted I've never seen the film Point Break and never seen Roadhouse from beginning to end, and asking you to help reveal the film that you've never seen before that is embarrassing for you to admit. We've gotten a whole bunch of people calling in, a lot of people on hold. Let's take your calls. Brockman, you have had so many films that you haven't seen. You're lost cause when it comes to this. I mean, I can't even ask you for one. You've got like 80 of them.
Because they're all from the 60s and 70s.
All Kubrick movies that your life partner and mother of your child is taken to Twitter to call you out on, saying that if you've never seen any Kubrick movies, that you're thinking about leaving. She's thinking about leaving you, tweeting about half an hour ago, "Do you know a good lawyer?" You try to respond, and she goes, "Hey, Chris, You've Got Mail," which is one of your favorite movies, has been established here. ... from my attorney.
And look, while I love Sarah, she's really bad to talk about this because she's only seen every movie once.
She's also said that there is a photograph of the computer HAL from 2001: A Space Odyssey in your nursery.
Well, she has these two prints of villains and heroes from all movies, and there's probably like 20 to 25 on each. And so, yeah, the HAL guy is on.
By the way,
was he a villain in that movie? I'm not sure.
The computer had a spoiler life had a mind of its own, and then turned somewhat evil, and that was the computer.
Okay.
And it's freaky the way Kubrick would shoot the film, and the voice was eerie, and just seeing the unblinking eye of how the computer leads me to think there may be some deep-seated issues leading to therapy for Cage in the future, that he is looking at this photograph. An interesting choice. An interesting choice for nursery. Normally, I'd go Maurice Sendak. Little wild things.
Right.
Yep. Babar the elephant would be a good choice. Hal the computer.
I mean, it's small.
Interesting.
It's part of a
collage of other freaky things.
Yes.
Oh, great. Sure.
Yes.
All right. Let's go to Rafi in Israel. Rafi, calling in all the way from the land of milk and honey. What's up, bud?
Hey, Rich. I've got two things. One, my movie, and then two, the more important thing about the Matt Patricia interview.
Okay.
Now, first of all, the movie, maybe it's a generation gap, but I've never seen Citizen Kane, ever.
That's only one, and the American Film Institute, greatest film of all time. So I would say that's a blind spot. What's your Patricia comment? Because I'd like to get through everybody else's calls.
When he says that Matt Stafford wanting to sell his apartment is nothing. About 2 months ago, I got an email from my dad. It came from a family friend. She had taken a picture with Stafford. Now, I don't want to give her name on air because she's a private person. She doesn't know anything about football, which is important. She met Stafford at a function, and she was talking to him. And, when I say she doesn't know football, when he told her that he was a professional football athlete, her answer was probably something along the lines of gridiron.
Okay.
So Stafford, in that interview, and this was not interview, in that at that function, and this was 2 months ago, said, "Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be in Detroit next season." That was 2 months ago that I heard this from my dad, from a close family friend who I trust.
Rafi, thank you for
when Stafford. Okay.
Yeah, so when Stafford says that to somebody, I see what you're saying. Rafi, I appreciate the call. So we got people calling in from Park City talking about something from 30 years ago, and now Rafi's saying that somebody, look, he might not be in Detroit next year, meaning maybe he's not in the Detroit area.
Right.
I don't know.
Living in another spot.
He could do, he could basically be like Kershaw, right? Right.
Basically.
Where Kershaw goes to the state of Texas when he's not here in Southern California.
Right. No big deal.
So we got Park City Pizza, and we got Detroit through Israel real estate stories. All right, let's try and whip through a lot of these here. Manny in El Paso, Texas. What's the one film you're embarrassed to admit that you've never seen before?
Gentlemen, you're going to have to put me in the Godfather category. I've never seen the category. But the one that a lot of people just gawk at, I've never seen Scarface.
Scarface. Now, you're talking about the Pacino, Brian De Palma Scarface.
Yes. I've never seen Scarface.
Oh, boy.
Now, sir, I would like to take a guess at the movie you've never seen. You don't have to answer right now because you got some pins and needles.
Sure.
I'm just going to go Grease for some odd reason. You've never seen Grease?
No, I've seen Grease. As a matter of fact, Susie showed it to our oldest son because before COVID-19 hit and shut everything down, he had like a 50s greasers party, so she wanted to get him in the mood for it. So we've seen it. Thank you.
As far as Mr. Brockman, he's got to step up the movie game. He's over here saying people that he hasn't cried as being a father. Is that something he has to look forward to? Sir, when you watch The Lion King with your son, you will cry. When you realize you're Mufasa and you would do anything for your Simba, you will cry.
There you go. Thank you. That's a Manny heads up.
Mufasa.
And by the way, also
get
ready. In every Disney movie that you're going to re-see again, one of the parents dies.
Oh, right.
Every single one.
I watched
I don't know
all of
what's the
them
matter with the
growing
people from
up.
Disney.
I get that. I watched them all growing up.
All right, let's go quickly. Noble in Texas. What do you have? What's up, Noble?
I have never seen Star Wars, any of them.
Oh, Noble! How old are you?
12.
Oh, you got time. You've never seen a single Star Wars, huh?
No.
Okay, I think you got to do that.
That's okay.
We got to get absolutely Noble and start with the old ones.
May the
start
force
with the
be
ones,
with you.
Start with the ones when I was 8, mid 70s. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for the call, Noble. How adorable is that? I mean, of course, if he was 42, I'd say, Noble, the hell's your problem?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Let's go quickly. Chris in Illinois. What's up, Chris in Illinois?
Hi, Rich. How you doing today?
What's going on with you?
Hey, I just want to say I have never seen the movie Wizard of Oz.
What?
Whoa.
My family thinks I'm nuts. Maybe I am, but for whatever reason, I've had no desire to sit down to ever watch it.
Oh, man. How old are you?
60.
Damn!
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Well, at this point, on principle, you can't see it now.
you can't
At this
see it.
point.
Yeah, it's over.
Hey, Rich.
Yes.
I just want to make one more comment because I know you're at the end of your show.
Yes.
I'm watching it right now. I called you back on July 29th, 2015 about Deflategate, and I made a comment to you about how I liked your show. It was the first time I seen it.
Yes.
And you were wondering about my enthusiasm when I said that, and I said, well, forgive me, I'm home after having a heart attack. And when I was watching it on TV, you were laughing so hard you fell out of your chair and you hid behind the desk. And I tell you, when I have a bad health day, I DVR'd it. I watched that to lift up my spirits, and I want to say thank you very much for that.
Chris, thank you very much.
Thanks,
now
Chris.
click
Be
your
good,
heels
man.
together and say there's no place like home. Thank you.
Well done.
Fantastic.
You're a host.
Okay, here we go.
Okay,
Here's my
you know,
reveal.
I've been bracing
Okay, I got to
for
hold on. I
3
got to hold on.
hours.
You're going to be so
I'm
upset.
gonna
You're going to be
stand
so upset
I'm going to stand
because I'm supposed to have seen this film.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's true.
As somebody who does what I do for a living, I'm supposed to have seen this film. The film I have never seen before, and people bring it up all the time here, and I've skated by. I have never seen The Sandlot. I have never seen The Sandlot.
How convenient. There's only 30 seconds left in the show.
Yeah, we got to run.
Vince Lombardi.
You've never
has
seen The
time.
Sandlot?
Vince Lombardi has a response for you, Rich.
Thank you.
Oh, my gosh. The Jet.
I got to catch up.
What are we doing?
Thanks for taking in this show,
Hercules.
son.
Wow.
Gotta
Oh,
run.
my
We're up
God.
against it. Thanks to Rece Davis, Matt Patricia, and the Watt brothers. We'll see you with Rob Riggle and more tomorrow.
I'm sickened.